live from Ringgold, Virginia. It's time for high school hoops. The Altavista Colonels and the Dan River Wildcats coming your way on 105.5 KD Country. Hello again, basketball fans, country music lovers, and everybody in between. My name is Kyle Hoehne, and my partner tonight, oh, it feels like the olden days. It's Mr. Bob Alvis. We have been sorely neglecting our get-togethers, Bob, so we'll do it tonight. We'll get a good basketball game to watch in the process.
I don't want to say people get scared off by a trip to Ringgold, but I'm the one that actually says when you're going.
You book this every year, although last year you missed it.
I did,
That's another story.
No need to shame me on that. I mean, I didn't think we were having radio bullying tonight on KD Country.
Not at all. We don't condone that. We don't participate in that. You just got a busy schedule. But, yeah, we are in Ringgold. Always a fun time coming down here. I'm with you. Games in this gym seem to have an extra edge, an extra energy. This is a rematch of less than a week ago. Dan River beat Altavista up in A-Town. That was an 84-72 Wildcat win, Bob. So something will need to change for the Altavista Colonels, and they do come in on a 2-game losing streak. Altavista on Friday lost the rivalry game to Gretna by 19. So I don't want to say there's no joy in Mudville, but the results have not been great for the Altavista Colonels right now. You and I were both chatting with head coach Casey Johnson before the game. Seems like he's confident that they can get it turned around pretty quick, but you got to play well against this Dan River team that is 13-5 on the season.
Yeah, I mean, what's the magic potion? Well, you better have it pretty soon tonight because you're not going to get a shot at Dan River again, which can be good and bad. Colonels will not see them in the postseason. So, the thing I'll give Casey Johnson credit for is a lot of those games have really helped Altavista get ready for what's coming down the road.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits to playing a tough schedule. And now these are Dogwood District games.
Sure.
You don't really have much of a say there. But I think the point is still true. And Altavista's region standings are still pretty good. They look like they're in line to host a first-round region game. So, Bob, you and I can talk about that because really the playoffs are right around the corner. And this is what I'll call the calm before the storm game with the weather looking unsettled. You don't really know how much basketball you're going to have left this season. Altavista is scheduled to wrap up the regular season 1 week from tomorrow. I think you got a little bit of wiggle room there, but not much, as the VHSL likes to have those region tournaments start on time because you never know when you get more weather then and you get backed up. So, all that being said, we've got a lot to talk about. And it can be dealer's choice. You can decide.
You're dealing.
Too. Okay.
This is Card Sharks. I'm just the contestant.
It can be player's choice then and not dealer's choice. Yeah, let's hear from the head coach, Casey Johnson, first. And then Bob and I can do some more damage on the other side of that. This is the Lynchburg Garage Door pregame show. Can't wait to tell you more about them and can't wait to have some high school hoops coming your way. Less than 20 minutes from the tip-off between Altavista and Dan River. You'll have yourself a ringside seat on 105.5 KD Country.
Haley's Appliance is your hometown appliance store. From AC units to stoves, dishwashers, vacuums, washer and dryers, and so much more. Everything Haley sells, they service. Haley's Appliance is reliable and affordable, so you don't have to sacrifice price for quality. Haley's Appliance, ensuring that your linens are fresh and your dishes are clean. 2 convenient locations, 7th Street, Altavista, and 4th Avenue, Lynchburg. Online at Haleys.com.
English is
so much more.
English is
more than a hardware store.
English
is your complete home center. Everything for every job you do. Always here for you.
Get the quality you really need. That's English is
so much more.
English is
more than a hardware store.
English
is your complete home center.
On North Main Street, Altavista.
A short drive will save you money.
Car buying is simple at Fellers Chevrolet. You can buy online or at the store. It's quick, easy, and a clean, safe environment. We have non-commissioned salespeople and a 3-day money-back guarantee so you can buy with confidence. Fellers is also here after the sale. We can do warranty work on all GM cars, not just Chevrolets, and our techs can service all makes and models. No matter what your automotive needs, I promise we can deliver. So come see us. You'll be glad you did.
Fellers Chevrolet in Altavista.
You're in the right place for Altavista High School Sports on 105.5 KD Country.
All right, we're in Ringgold as the Altavista Colonels are set to take on the Dan River Wildcats. Chatting with Colonel head coach Casey Johnson. And Coach Johnson, let's talk about the game against Gretna. Obviously, things didn't go your way. Some bright spots in there. It seems like when you call the timeouts and get the guys motivated, those seem to work. But I guess probably from your perspective, you feel like you shouldn't have to burn all your timeouts just to get guys to play hard, right?
Well, it's just difficult because you run out, and then when you need them, it's really a chess match trying to hold on to them to the end of the game, hoping the game will be tight. But just disappointed Friday in how we played, or rather didn't come to play to start the game. Got to give it up to Gretna as much as I don't want to, but they were ready to go and we were not. So I thought we played a solid quarter and a half in the second half. But again, we were down 20. We weren't ready to go. They then, went deep on us a couple times. It felt like 3 or 4 in a row, and we did not make the adjustment we needed to do, or make rather. And what should have been a 10-point game going into the fourth, where it's now a ball game, it stayed at 20, and then it just continued to stay there. And it was like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. After the first quarter, that was not good. So we had a spirited practice. We did some extra conditioning because I just didn't feel like we came to compete. When I told the guys you're going to lose games, and when you play good people, that stuff happens. But you got to be able to compete, and you got to be able to give everything you've got for the team to come out on top. And I just didn't feel like we did that from top to bottom, varsity or JV, and that was what was so disappointing. But we'll see what happens tonight. Quick turnaround. No school tomorrow. This one's going to sit with us for a while, so we got to be ready to go and get back on that winning side of things, and at the very least compete. And if we can do that for 32 minutes, I feel great about our chances. But we've got to be ready to go from the start and attack them from the beginning all the way through.
Let me ask you a little X's and O's piece, because I said on the broadcast I'd bring it up. You touched on it briefly when they would throw the long passes. Some people call it cherry picking, whatever. Not a new concept, but basically, somebody just heads down to the other end of the floor as the shot's going up. What should the offensive team that's going to quickly turn into the defensive team do? I mean, you got to send a guy back there with them, correct?
You do, and sometimes teams send two, and the difficult thing is that usually it's a point guard, but our point guard, John Tez, is statistically our best offensive rebounder, and he does a lot of his damage picking up even if we don't get the rebound and causing a little havoc when they get the ball. The problem was twofold. One, we're jogging from free throw line to free throw line instead of sprinting back for guys who did not get the rebound. Two, we've got to send someone else, usually a shooting guard. If your point guard's going to the glass, your shooting guard needs to get back on D. And three, the other adjustment to make is to get someone on the basketball and not allow them to make that pass, to be guarding the basketball once the ball goes through the net or they get the rebound. So we didn't do any of those. And to be honest with you, if the second one that I talked about had happened, sprinting back full speed, then those plays don't happen. I thought we were taking the play off. I thought we were frozen. I thought we were scared. And I thought the score reflected that. So, so we've got to be able to make that adjustment quicker and be able to understand what we need to do without having to call a timeout to do it.
All right, give us a rundown, a refresher on the Dan River Wildcats. You saw them in your gym less than a week ago. We know about the talented star they have. They got guys that play well around them as well. You mentioned the effort, the defense, the rebounding, all those things. What else will be the keys tonight?
Making sure we focus on the things he can and cannot do, and make him and do our best to make sure he does what he cannot do or doesn't want to do more, which is shoot jump shots. He really wants to get to the rim. This is the Reynolds kid, Jameer Reynolds, who's a transfer from Carlisle School. But they've got the big kid, 44, Watson, on the glass. They've got some solid wings, and We need to do a better job of making those guys beat us, the role players, than let the star do star things. So we've got some things in mind that we may throw out defensively, whether it be a junk defense or just more focusing on him and keeping him in front of us as opposed to pressuring up like we do most people. So it's going to be kind of a cat and mouse game, but at the very same time, we need to score points, so we need to get out and run and attack their pressure and do our best to get to the rim and then be ready to knock down open shots once we get to the rim and collapse the defense and kick it out for open shots and open threes. So it's going to be tough. They're good. They're having a good year. But again, I really like what we're capable of if we'll decide to bring it for 32 minutes.
Great insights as always, Coach. We'll let you go. It's Dan River and Altavista tip coming up in about 10 minutes on 105.5 KD Country.
The De Heavenly home of Altavista would like to show their support and wish the Altavista Colonels a great season. Licensed by the Department of Behavioral Health, the De Heavenly home assists clients with intellectual and developmental disabilities and currently accepts waivers or private pay. For more information, contact Zakiah Pinnell at 434-251-3466 or email them at thedeheavenlyhome@gmail.com. Let's go, Colonels!
We are Lynchburg Garage Door, where excellence meets experience. From secure and functional commercial doors to stylish and sleek residential doors, we do all things overhead doors. Whether you're in the market for a new garage door, installation services, repairs, Lynchburg Garage Door is here for you. Our dedicated team of experts is committed to delivering top-notch services tailored to your needs. We understand that your garage door is more than just an entry point. It's a statement of your home's personality and style. That's why we offer a wide range of high-quality garage door designs, from classic to contemporary, ensuring that you will find the perfect match for your home and personality. From secure and functional commercial doors to sleek and stylish residential doors, we have all of Central Virginia covered. Contact us today and let's open the door to a secure and stylish future together.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving families since 1905.
Hello, I'm Trey Finch, the 5th generation of Finch family to serve this community. We are proud to be the only Virginia funeral home to win the Pursuit of Excellence Award from the National Funeral Directors Association. We offer many products and services in addition to the ones that are expected, such as pet cremation and burial, custom printing. We also capture your loved one's DNA and fingerprints and have many options to go along with that. And of course, our most popular employee, Oliver, the Golden Doodle therapy dog, which is available to all families at their time of need. Please reach out to us if you'd like to learn more about us and what we have to offer.
More live high school sports action on 105.5 KD Country.
High school hoops on 105.5 KD Country. Bob and Kyle. Eleanor is our sound engineer, and you're the final piece of the puzzle. Thanks for tuning in wherever you are this Monday evening. Big Monday. That used to be the big college basketball day, and still is somewhat, but now Bob and I get Big Monday, and it may be the only game this week, but I will report, fans, that we're scheduled to have 3 on KD Country tonight. Then Altavista is at Liberty Wednesday. I don't know, Bob. What do you think? Probably a less than 10% chance that happens on Wednesday?
I'll go no, knowing what I've heard of the projected forecast.
Sure. And then our other game on the schedule would be actually senior night. Altavista scheduled to host Nelson on Friday, and then one more game next week to wrap up the regular season for Altavista. That will be on the road in Pittsylvania County, a place Bob and I just went through. Tight squeeze, as Altavista will take on Chatham. So, Bob, it's tournament time. You're pretty plugged into the local high school scene. You know, you hear from coaches all the time at all levels, not just high school. You want to be playing your best basketball down the stretch. If that's realistic, you're really probably going to start thinking about it now, don't you?
Yeah, you make it sound like I'm in witness protection, by the way. But, yeah, I definitely think you really want to be hitting the peak now. I mean, you can still have a few kinks in the armor, so to speak, but we got to be thinking about how do we get those kinks out. And, you know, if you watch my interviews like I know you do, one thing I always ask is, what's that one thing you want to do better next game?
Right.
Well, at some point, it's got to be, you know, it can't be the same thing all the time because that's not good.
Yeah, well, and I think, unfortunately, for some teams it is, and those teams are, you know, obviously the ones that don't have a lot of postseason success. But you're right, and you know, you and I have talked about finding that identity and that culture. Well, you should have that by now. If you don't have that at this point in the season, then yeah, I don't know that a playoff run is realistic. For both these ball clubs tonight, they have that. Dan River's 13-5 on the year. Did lose to Nelson on Friday, 61-55. That snapped an 8-game winning streak for Ben Elliott and his squad. And he is back tonight We talked to Coach Elliott. He said he's feeling well. He was not at the game against Altavista on Tuesday, a little under the weather. But Coach Elliott's back. I can't see how that would hurt. And that loss Friday, actually their first loss since January 14th. So Nelson's playing good basketball. Dan River's playing good basketball. Nelson is, but that's not what I meant to say. I meant to talk about Dan River. And for Altavista, they had a 3-game win streak snapped last week, and now they've lost 2 in a row. So, again, the Colonels have a chance to, I don't want to say right this ship, because I don't think Altavista's playing bad, Bob. I just think the competition right now is really, really good with teams like Dan River, Gretna, throw Appomattox and Nelson in there. I mean, Dogwood this year is crowded at the top.
Absolutely. And, when you look at the game notes that I got provided today, the most Altavista's given up this year is 84. The most Dan River scored this year was 84. I'll give you a hint. That was the same night, by the way. So I think, obviously, coaches are not into moral victories. Certainly not Casey Johnson. But the one thing you don't want to do is let them get going again to where they throw up that big number. But, when Evan and I were up in Nelson County doing the Altavista-Nelson game, Altavista really had the 3 going for them that night. They were up in the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, ended up losing by a good margin. You don't want that to snowball on you either to where things get out of hand.
Yeah, I think if you're Altavista, if you can avoid those long runs, people say basketball is a game of runs, and a lot of times I think it is, Bob. But if Altavista can keep Dan River in check, keep the scoring runs to 4, 5, 6 unanswered rather than 10, 12, 14, those kinds of things, Colonel should be in good shape. But again, it's probably oversimplifying things, because you could throw that for any basketball game, really. Let's see if the Colonels maybe can get on some long runs of their own.
And you don't want to trade either. You don't want to go, they'll get 2, well, we're going to get 2. They'll get 2, we'll get 2. They'll get 3, we'll get 3. You don't want to do that either. So
yeah. And that's going to happen, but I think you're right. It's definitely hard to pull away from teams like that and get any separation. Hey, Bob and I have got more hoops talk in just a moment, but let's remind you, it's the Lynchburg Garage Door pregame show. Lynchburg Garage Door is your go-to source for all things sliding door. And, with this winter weather coming up, wouldn't it be nice, Bob, to not have to go slog through the snow to start your car on Wednesday morning?
And I'll tell you, I've had to use Lynchburg Garage Door, and they're quick with their responses, too. So, I mean, it's not like you call them on Monday, you'll hear back on Thursday. Lynchburg Garage, I'm not saying they'll be out at the same time, but they're very quick on getting in touch, and I think for a consumer, that's the biggest thing you can have happen is you can get in touch with the person you're trying to get in touch with.
So true. So true. So listen to my guy, Bob Alvis, and call Lynchburg Garage Door in 2025 for all your garage door needs. Hey, we'll step aside one time here and then one more time for the national anthem. Looks like tip-off less than 5 minutes away between Dan River and Altavista. You'll hear it all live on 105.5 KD Country.
Tonight's game is brought to you by these sports club sponsors.
Highview Motors GMC. From small to tall, Highview Motors has it all. Highview Motors, Main Street, Altavista.
El Cerrito. Throw on a sombrero, shake your maracas. It's El Cerrito time. Authentic Mexican cuisine only El Cerrito can serve up.
One Stop Mart, Main Street, Altavista, where the gas is cheap, beverages are cold, and the chicken is kicking.
Dairy Freeze. Hamburgers, hot dogs, and, of course, ice cream. They're doing it right at the Freeze on Main Street in Altavista.
Select Air Mechanical and Electrical. Our team is certified and licensed to handle all of your heating and air, plumbing, electrical, design, and build needs.
Chef's Drive-In, keeping drive-ins alive with hometown pride and service. Chef's Drive-In, Main Street, Altavista. Thank you to all of our sports club sponsors, and thanks for listening to 105.5 KD Country.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Shop Napa Auto Parts in Altavista, Bedford, and Gretna.
Now back to the action with Colonel Sports on 105.5 KD Country.
Lynchburg Garage Door pregame show. One more little mini segment before the national anthem. A couple hellos and shout-outs, Bob. We got to start with our guy, Jerry Eccles, the Dan River superfan. You said he's actually not going to be in attendance tonight.
On his,
I knew he would be.
On his mobile device. That's the thing. You don't have to just have the computer, the old desktop. You can listen laptop, tablet, Whatever you want.
Mine's inseparable. Some might call it an addiction that I have to my phone.
Yeah, I would.
But I'm not a licensed clinician, so I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to make that claim. But hello, Jerry Eccles. Hello, Louis Bryant, who checked in. Hello, Ken Bryant down in Florida. And there's a hush that has gone over the gym. So I think it is time for the national anthem now, Bob. We'll step aside one more time. Starting lineups and a tip coming next between Dan River and Altavista. It's coming your way on 105.5 KD Country.
PCM Industrial Services of Altavista is a heavy industrial contractor specializing in welding and mechanical repair services. PCM is a Class A contractor, both OSHA and MSHA certified. PCM Industrial embraces teamwork and dedication to a common goal. PCM Industrial wishes all of the Colonel athletes and coaches a great, successful season. Go Colonels!
A short drive will save you money.
Car buying is simple at Feller Chevrolet. You can buy online or at the store. It's quick, easy, and a clean, safe environment. We have non-commissioned salespeople and a 3-day money-back guarantee so you can buy with confidence. Feller's is also here after the sale. We can do warranty work on all GM cars, not just Chevrolets, and our techs can service all makes and models. No matter what your automotive needs, I promise we can deliver. So come see us. You'll be glad you did.
Feller Chevrolet in Altavista.
English is so much more.
English is
More than a hardware store.
English
is your complete home center. Everything for every job you do. Always here for you.
Get the quality you really need at English is
So much more.
English is
More than a hardware store.
English
is your complete home center.
On North Main Street, Altavista.
School sports are played by humans, coached by humans, and officiated by humans. So the next time you're sitting in the stands at a school athletic event, please remember this and maintain your humanity, especially when it comes to judging and critiquing athletes, coaches, and officials. Please show your fellow humans some respect. They'll appreciate your empathy.
This message presented by the VHSL and the Virginia Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Brought to you by English Construction Company with offices in Lynchburg. Whether you reside in the rural countryside or right in suburbia, Haley's Outdoors has got you covered for all your mowing needs. Haley's Outdoors is your dealer in Spartan mowers, Husqvarna, Grasshopper, Envy mowers, neighborhood vehicles, Traeger grills, and so much more. Haley's Outdoors is Central Virginia's largest power center for sales and service. Locally owned and operated Haley's Outdoors on Hicks Road in Lynchburg, just off of 460. Online at haleys.com.
Now back to the action with Colonel Sports on 105.5 KD Country.
All right, just about time for basketball between Altavista and Dan River. We are in Ringgold, southern part of Pittsylvania County. I'm Kyle Hoehne. Bob Alvis, my partner in crime tonight. We'll say hello to Keith Piper, who said he was going to be popping in from time to time. Your guy and my guy, Evan Gates, said he might try to tune in to see what was going on with the Altavista Colonels and the Dan River Wildcats. Dan River 13-5, 5-3 in the Dogwood District, coached by Ben Elliott in his third season. Is that right, Bob? I was trying to remember that. Of course, we had the Jacob Gruss era.
Oh, we don't mention his name. No.
We had the Kenny Murphy era. A state championship in his first season there for Kenny Murphy. And then Ben Elliott had been a long-time assistant. Does 3 sound right?
Yeah.
I hope so, because that's what I'm going with.
What part are you asking me if it sounds right?
Is it Ben Elliott's third year?
I think so. I don't think there was an in-between gap of anybody.
The public address man really comes alive for the Dan River starting lineup for these Wildcats, who are going to be clad in the home whites with the royal blue and red trim.
They still got the warm-ups on, too, which kind of hurts me.
Because you can't see the numbers there for the Dan River team. So let's go with the Altavista starters first then. Colonels come in at 10-9, scoring 61.5 points per game. They're going to go with number 0, junior Christian Garvin. Number 2, junior Andrew Stone. Number 3, the senior Sean Clay. Number 4, junior Spence Fisher. And the fantastic Frosh in the starting lineup is number 20, Jontez Lee. Colonels are coached by Casey Johnson in his 6th season. He's approaching win number 80 and could get there this season. If you ask Coach Johnson about that, he'll change the subject pretty quickly. But it has been definitely a good run for Coach Casey Johnson in his time at Altavista High School. The Dan River Wildcats, we mentioned it briefly. They got the one state championship, but they were a fixture in that state tournament and really the state semifinals. It seemed like Wildcats were in there every year in that really later stages of the first decade of the 2000s, Bob, and then into that second decade as well.
Well, we always talk about how long we did this together on the radio, and everybody's kind of cycled through. It seemed like Dan River was there a little bit longer. They were always tough because they were so athletic.
No doubt about that. Tough again. Jameer Reynolds will be one to watch for the Wildcats. He scored 42 last week against Altavista in the victory. Colonels do get the jump ball. Let's play some high school hoops here on the road in Ringgold. Christian Garvin went flying to the rim, had the shot blocked, but Altavista gets it back. Andrew Stone lines up a triple from the right wing. That clangs off and out of bounds, but it was touched by a Wildcat player. So Altavista still with the basketball. We're 16 seconds into the English is your complete home center first quarter. Here's Garvin again. This time he'll go up off the square and in for a deuce. And Altavista an early lead, 2-0, with less than 30 gone by in the first period. Wildcats going to try the triple now. This one was in and out, rebounded right side of the lane by Sean Clay. He'll hand the basketball backwards to Spence Fisher. Jogging, now sprinting into the front court, taps the brakes, kicks it right side for Jontez Lee. He throws up a high one that goes over the outstretched arm of Jameer Reynolds and in. Colonels lead 4-0. You can see Reynolds there attempting to block the shot, and now Reynolds will shoot the jumper off the window and in. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I was going to say, not the first person that scores always doesn't win the game, but it seems like they do get more confidence if you can get those early buckets in.
Coach Johnson mentioned confidence a couple times. Here's Andrew Stone. Got downhill, went to the right side of the backboard, lost the handle, and his shot was partially blocked, but off of him. Altavista leads 4-2. Baskets from Garvin and Lee. Jameer Reynolds banked in a straightaway jumper for Dan River. This is Tavon Fitz. Now up to Josiah Lampkin, who had a good ball game last week. Here's Reynolds shooting in a crowd and nailing it. We're tied 4-4. Reynolds has 2 baskets for Dan River.
Very accurate description. Shooting in a crowd. I mean, he did have some traffic around him, and he's not afraid to put it up.
Another guy that's not afraid to put it up, Jontez Lee. Slash and dash to the hole. He got fouled. Ball hit the rim but didn't drop. Jontez Lee has 2 free throws coming up. And it does stop the clock with 6:32 left to play in the English is your complete home center. First quarter, we're tied 4-4.
We don't do this that often, but it's almost like we can finish each other's.
I was supposed to say sentences?
I was going to say appetites or something like that.
That's pretty good. As Jontez Lee rolls the first free throw home.
Let me be serious for a minute, KH. Really, one thing for both teams tonight, if you've got free throws, you got to sink them because you don't know how many trips you're going to get and how many, threes or twos the other team's going to get.
Excellent point. And you've got the Altavista stats over there. I think if you look, the games where the free throw percentage is good tend to be the ones that they win. Now, that kind of maybe is a little bit of an oversimplification, but Altavista has had some indifferent moments from the charity line. Dan River had 2 bites at the apple from inside, but couldn't come away with a basket. Here's Jontez Lee again, high off the window. That's no good, but the trailer and the follow was perfect from Sean Clay. Sean Clay's on the board. Altavista doubling up. Dan River 8-4, 2 minutes in. Here's our first foul, second foul of the ball game, actually.
Can't make the foul shots if you don't go to the line, too.
Very true. You got to get there. No, you're right. And Jameer Reynolds for Dan River got there a bunch last week. I think he shot 18 free throws against Altavista last week, made 15 of them.
6'6", Matthew Watson checks in for Dan River.
Sean Clay got a piece of the inbound pass. Now it's Reynolds. He'll spin it up to the rim, off the glass, and in for 2. He's got all the baskets for Dan River right now. Colonels have lost the basketball. An errant pass that Jontez Lee couldn't corral. Dan River's going to take over in the front court right with a chance to tie or take the lead in this possession. 5:50 left to play in the first. It's Altavista 8, Dan River 6. Colonels look like they're in a man-to-man coverage at the moment. Matthew Watson dumped Spence Fisher to the deck. That's an offensive foul on Matthew Watson. He was giving as good as he was getting, but that last give there was just a bit too much for the officials.
Dan River's got some pressure going, too. Altavista breaks it with the pass just behind midcourt.
Yeah, good long bounce pass from Fisher up to Garvin. He angled in from the right side, couldn't make the lay-in. That was contested. Reynolds on the move, galloping to the hole. His shot got blocked by Sean Clay. Sean Clay lets out a roar. It'll be Dan River basketball, but good presence at the rim there to deny Jameer Reynolds.
I think Reynolds was saying, Stone got me going all the way down the court.
He may have a case there. Here's Watson. He'll turn and hook with the right hand on the floor foul. Yeah, this is going to be on probably Spence Fisher, but let's wait and see. Stops the clock with 5:24 left to play in the first. 8-6, the Altavista lead.
Didn't mean to step on you there. I got a question for you. Reynolds has got 6 points. If you're the opposition, do you feel good that one guy's got all the points, even if it is a guy like Reynolds?
Yeah, great question. I got to think on that one. I mean, he had 42 last week, so I think you're probably a little bit, as there's a snazzy little pass across the lane from Lampkin to Davion Atkins. Now, Dan River does have another person in the books. That's Davion Atkins. I mean, I think Altavista is probably having somewhat of at least minor flashbacks, PTSD, nightmares from giving up 42 to the guy last week. But I think you're right to ask the question. There's a foul about 25 feet away from the hoop as Jontez Lee got two hands on Josiah Lampkin. First sub in the game for either ball club is Jamari Slayton off the bench for the Altavista Colonels.
Well, the guy's big, too, and the guy also can create his own shot. So the guy doesn't need help, obviously, talking about Reynolds.
8-8 the score. Here's Watson, left low post, shoots over Sean Clay, missed. Offensive rebound for the Wildcats, also no. Watson got a third chance, pushed that one to the iron. It goes in. There's your first lead change. Dan River is on top, 10-8 after the Matthew Watson straightaway basket from point-blank range. Here's Jamari Slayton, high right point. He got into the lane and spins it home with the right hand. Impressive move there by Slayton, a knife through the defense. Colonels have 4 players that have scored. We're tied again, Bob, 10 apiece. Here's Reynolds, look out, going for the dunk, and he got it. My goodness, a jackhammer jam right there, and that got the crowd on their feet. He came from deep. I mean, it wasn't the Michael Jordan free throw line, but he wasn't too far beyond that. Jontez Lee beat the defense down, but he couldn't control the basketball. Watch out, Reynolds is coming again. Got that look in his eye. He'll actually pass. Open three on the way from Fitz. No good. Watson kind of taps the rebound to himself. Good basketball here. Fun exchange. Fitz will fire again for three. Back plate. Rebound loose. Reynolds has it. He'll turn around. Fade away on the way. Also a brick. I mean, what a battle going on here. Ball's finally out of bounds. Reynolds couldn't save it in. We're going to get a timeout. I'm going to keep it here just so we can talk about that. 3:40 left to play in the first quarter. It's Dan River 12, Altavista 10. My goodness, Bob, the roof kind of came off with the jam, and then that last little sequence after that was frantic.
Yeah, you know, if you've never seen Altavista or Dan River play, I'm going to give you some breaking news. Spence Fisher is not as tall as Matthew Watson, so he's going to have to box him out and use positioning. But I will tell you this, dating back to one of my favorite sports stories, the 1983 NC State team, when they played Houston, NC State said one thing we don't want to let them do is dunk the basketball, because then they get going, then they get excited. If that was the plan against Reynolds, that didn't work, because Reynolds, I think it can get the crowd more into it and can get your team more jolly. I mean, keep in mind, it only counts for 2, but does it sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm with you. I think that one counted for a little bit more. That was momentum. Mm-hmm. And the free throw line is 15 feet away from the front of the rim. He probably came from 10 or 11 feet away, don't you think?
I think he came from that volleyball line, because he had the look in his eye, though, that he was going to do it from the free throw line.
He sure did. You're right. Scramble for the basketball. Dan River gets a steal, and then the lay-in missed. And then Reynolds couldn't cap it off as he came flying in. We're going to get a jump ball, mutual possession tie-up. Garvin got tangled with Tavon Fitz. The arrow is going to give it to Dan River.
That's the problem.
Wildcats have missed a couple from in close.
Well, if you're going to have a layup and you're going to have a trailer, you got to make sure you get it down. If you can't get it down by the coaches, I believe, hate missed dunks more than anything, because you don't need to dunk it. Just get the ball in the basket.
Malachi Ford is in the game for Altavista. I thought he had a really good second quarter against Gretna. Oh, Ford's got a steal right there. He tapped the inbound pass to himself, and then Altavista lost it again. Matthew Watson, long strides to the hole. He scoops that one in for a deuce. And Dan River with what is actually their biggest lead of the evening so far, 14-10 Wildcats. 70-foot pass from Fisher to Ford. Ford will shoot over a defender. No good. Sean Clay, an offensive rebound for Altavista. Fadeaway jumper left side, clanged off. Andrew Stone had his mitts on the rebound. I believe he got fouled. This is going to be a foul on Dan Rivers, number 10. Josiah Lampkin.
They don't throw him up on the board, so KH is working hard tonight.
Yeah.
I might even have to help a time or two myself.
You may have to. Jameer Edmonds in the game for Dan River. Wildcats haven't gone to the bench a ton. I think big Matthew Watson and Jameer Edmonds, the only 2 subs. So 7 deep right now. What a takeaway from Josiah Lampkin. Ripped it from Jamari Slayton. Wildcats in transition. Another close one that they can't finish. Edmonds got it back, got whacked, and he will convert that one. He's got a chance at the 3-point play. This is the man off the bench, 5'9" sophomore Jameer Edmonds.
I'll tell you what, KH, when they get it, they want to go too. I mean, They do not waste any time getting down the floor.
Well, you and I were on the ride down talking about teams that say they want to play fast, and then sometimes they don't. Dan River, they're doing it. I mean, they get it and go. It's a lot of sprint dribble, some long passing.
Yeah. I like that sprint dribble. It's controlled fast, too.
Yeah. Free throw, no good. Didn't he make the shot? He went.
Yeah.
Edmonds went after the rebound. He made the shot. That ball was live. The officials blew the whistle.
It's gonna be a jump ball, I think.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Altavista.
You're right. Inadvertent whistle, so then it goes to a jump ball. And it will be Altavista basketball. I think the officials are going to talk it over, though.
Well,
no one realized, except for Jameer Edmonds, that it was a one-shot situation.
Well, here's the problem, too. I don't know if when they shot the free throw, because a lot of times the officials will hold up how many shots.
Yeah.
The gentleman on the far end said the basket did count.
Yep.
I'm wondering if he didn't hold up, or if the down low held up like 2.
Sure, I think you're right. And the basket did count according to the scoreboard. Dan River basketball, though, 16-10. Andrew Stone got his hands on a pass, and he actually hit it into his own coach, Casey Johnson. I think Coach Johnson wondering if maybe his team could have got the steal if he wasn't in the way. But Dan River basketball, they'll put it in bounds again. Listen to the Altavista JV team beside us. They're loving the defensive effort. Jontez Lee with the steal. He went up and got completely bushwhacked going to the rim. Should be 2 shots here. Yeah. You could argue maybe that might have been close to a flagrant, but just a regular common foul. And Jontez Lee, the first year, will have 2 more shots at the free throw line for Altavista. Colonels do trail by 6 with 2:42 left to play in the first. Man, this is. We always said it's got an extra edge and energy here, and it's true. I mean, you feel it, don't you?
I do.
How much does being courtside like we are for our vantage point matter? A little bit, doesn't it?
It helps. Really, to walk to your seat, you might have to walk on the floor here at Dan River, too, if you're coming to the side where the bleachers are.
And Keith and I discussed that at length on Friday at Gretna. Probably don't even need to revisit it. Traveling violation. Bob Alvis, my colleague, called it as soon as the referee did. That's another turnover. Well, you got to really admire Altavista's defensive pressure. They're down 4. I think the Colonels really should feel good about what they're doing on the defensive side of the basketball. Spence Fisher dribbled through a double team, then a triple team. Got it to Sean Clay, who came streaking in from the left baseline. He couldn't convert the lay-in. 16-12, Dan River by 4. Looking for more. Wildcats lost the handle. Got the basketball back. I think it's Josiah Lampkin that's going to go to the free throw stripe to our right, the closest one to us, if you didn't hear us talking about it. Bob and I are courtside next to the Altavista bench. Josiah Lampkin, 5'7" senior, to shoot 2 for Dan River.
Really important that you cash in when the clock is stopped, because you don't know how many chances you're going to get, and when it's a tight game, got to make them.
I think free throws will be critical in this one.
Yeah.
We got a substitute for Dan River. Davion Atkins is back in the ball game. For the Colonels, it's Fisher, Stone, Garvin, Clay, and Jontez Lee.
They've subbed more than Altavista has, for sure.
Lampkin made the back end, splits it to stripe on that exchange, and now Dan River holds a 17-12 lead. Jontez Lee lost the basketball, but it was kicked out of bounds by Josiah Lampkin. This full court pressure from Dan River is really bothering the Colonels, speeding them up too, Bob. When they break it, they seem to have trouble converting when they do get to the offensive side, which they are there now. Christian Garvin in the left forecourt. Ball had to get saved in. Jontez Lee has it. He'll turn and shoot over a defender and make it. Jontez Lee, 2 field goals, and he's a perfect 4 for 4 from the charity line. That gives him 8 of Altavista's 14. There's 1:50 left to play in the first. Colonels are down 3. They're down 5 now as Matthew Watson bulldozes his way in the lane again. Shoves a defender aside and scores the deuce. Spence Fisher fouled as he is passing out of a double team. Dan River shooting for Spence Fisher. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. Dan River is pretty long, too, across the board. I mean, we talked about Reynolds having the height and his sky and dunk and everything, but Dan River is pretty long. So on that pressure, I think it's even worse than you think just because the flippers.
I think you're right. And it's athletic length, too.
Yeah.
Fisher sinks the first free throw. 19-15 is the Wildcat lead right now. 1:40 left to play in the English is your complete home center first quarter. Fisher, southpaw shooter, lefty, missed the second one, and it's rebounded, cleared away by Josiah Lampkin. Wildcats going the other direction. Haven't seen Jameer Reynolds on the court in a while. He's got 8 points for Dan River, leading scorer, and he had 42 against Altavista last week. There's an athletic power move by Jamarion Davis, but he couldn't score. Colonels on the move quickly the other direction. Jontez Lee lost the basketball. Lampkin picks it up. Boy, Lampkin's really been the ringleader a lot on defense for Dan River, Bob. Colonels have the ball back, though. Fisher for three. No good. Ball still loose. Clay fighting for it. 67 seconds left to play in the first. Here's Matthew Watson in transition, throwing one up over defenders. No good. He did lose his spectacles. Managed to pick them back up before they hit the floor. Under a minute to play now. Jontez Lee had the shot blocked on the other side. Jameer Edmonds with the access denied there, and then Jontez Lee hustles back to knock it out of bounds. I mean, it's baseline to baseline, full sprint right now for these teams.
And I think the other thing, too, we talked about it earlier, Coach Johnson and I were talking, Matthew Watson, I think, is more of that traditional big. He's not the Euro big to where he's popping out. He's trying to play down the post, and Altavista is just going to have to concentrate with the body to push him away. They're not as tall as he is. That's just factual.
Really good point by you. Kind of an old school low post guy, although he had some nice moves there coming from the free throw line on that last one. Here's a new man in the ball game. Demarion Robertson also couldn't convert from the right side. Colonels are really crowding that lane, Bob, making the layups, and the short one's very difficult for Dan River.
You want to break, you got 42 seconds before you get it.
I need it. I don't know about you. You're on the play-by-play in quarter number 2. Here's Jamari Slayton, crossover dribble, attacking, jump pass to the corner, triple on the way. No good from Demarion Davis, who's in the game for the Altavista Colonels for his first action. Altavista down by 4, fighting for a steal in the backcourt. Slayton and Fisher. Double-team duo right there, and there's a timeout. Dan River takes the timeout to avoid the 10-second violation. Oh, what the heck. Let's just keep it here again since we've only got 17.7 seconds until the first quarter ends. Still 19-15, the score for Dan River. We've had 3 ties, 1 lead change in what I will call a very spirited first period, Bob.
Altavista is not as long as Dan River, but I think the pressure is bothering Dan River a lot. 2, I think Altavista's pressure is more pesky than it is, lengthwise, and pesky pressure can get to you. It's just as bad.
Yeah, is it surprising to you that the teams have combined for I guess it's 34 points combined in the first quarter, considering how good the defense has been? No 3-pointers either yet.
Right, game flow I think has kind of got it at 34 because when you're going to press, you're going to give up some 2s.
Yeah,
but I don't think they've been quote unquote jump 2s to where they've just been chipping 2 in off the window every time.
Good
either.
point.
So
yeah, good point by you, always.
I don't know if I answered your question accurately at all.
It's more fun when you don't answer. Dan River sideline inbound. They get it in. We've got 12 seconds left to play. Now 10 on the timer here in the first quarter. Too many steps from Tavion Fitz as he actually did make that one from just inside lane line right.
I thought Fitz might have been hugged by Malachi Ford from the backside. That's the advantage of the floor.
Colonels have the basketball. Let's see if they can get something off before the horn. Malachi Ford in the corner. Now up top to Sean Clay. In the right corner for Christian Garvin. Overshot the mark there, and the buzzer will sound to end quarter number 1. It was a fantastic one for us to watch. We hope you're enjoying it. Going to period number 2. It is Dan River 19, Altavista 15 on 105.5 KD Country.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Shop Napa Auto Parts in Altavista, Bedford, and Gretna.
Your high school sports station with award-winning coverage on 105.5 KD Country.
8 minutes in the rear view mirror, a much-needed quarter break for the broadcasters and probably the players too, Bob. That was fun there in quarter number 1.
It was. Altavista's, you talked about the JV team is right near us. Well, the Altavista bench was also getting into it. which I think helps, but in a weird way, may it tire you out when you hit the court because you're cheering so much.
Valid. You've been getting a lot of good points tonight. Colonels actually kind of forgot which basket they were scoring on. That could have been bad, but Jamari Slayton gets the team organized and then throws the basketball back in play from the far right sideline. Looks like the Colonels are going to face a zone coverage right now on this trip down the left forecourt. 3 from Sean Clay, wide left, rebounded by Jameer Reynolds, who's back in there for the Wildcats. He leads, actually tied with Jontez Lee for the scoring lead. There's a bowling ball move as Reynolds ran through Malachi Ford, and that's either a foul or on somebody or a travel.
It's a foul. I personally thought it would be a travel because he went to the ground, then the whistle blew.
First one on Malachi Ford, by the way. Reynolds for 3 at the top. He laced it. Direct hit there.
It doesn't look hard for Reynolds. I mean, he shoots it so easy.
Yeah, you're right. He has a smooth game. Here's Sean Clay. 3 steps behind the left wing three-point line. Now a short pass to Jamari Slayton. He'll move slowly to center with a right-hand dribble. Passes right wing for Christian Garvin. Colonel's still working against his zone defense. Scoreboard hasn't changed.
I know.
It should be 22-15. Dan River is short 3 points right now, but the crowd is so loud the coaches are into it. Nice pop passing to get Malachi Ford a bucket left side. That was special from Sean Clay.
He gave Altavista their 2 points, so it's 19-17.
Wow. This happened against Rustburg.
22.
Yep, this happened against Altavista against Rustburg. Jamari Slayton with a steal. Throws it ahead with the baseball pass to Jontez Lee. He'll spin it in with a left-hand finish. Lee's in double figures already. 10 of Altavista's 19. And according to the scoreboard, we're tied. But we think Dan River should have a 3-point lead. We'll keep our eyes on it, Bob. It changed it. Now it's a 2-point lead. But we're pretty sure he hit a 3, right?
I thought so.
I thought so, too. All right, right now it says Dan River by 2, 21-19. We'll go with that at the moment and then revisit later on. Well, there's a triple. That should be a 3 there from number 20, Tavion Fitz. His first basket of the game. Scoreboard now reads 24-19. 5-point advantage for Dan River. Wildcats have a steal. Oh, and the basket is good. Hoop in the harm for Tavion Fitz. He's got the last 5 for Dan River and a chance to make it 6 from the charity line. Foul should be on Jamari Slayton, and I think it's his first for the Altavista Colonels. Second of the quarter. Second. Should be the second of the second quarter, which is brought to you by English's Your Complete Home Center, North Main Street in Altavista.
I don't want to say I've become an expert sitting at scores tables, but I've become an expert sitting at scores tables. It matters what the book has. So the book, if it had 27-19, the score is 27-19.
Right.
However, that doesn't help Casey Johnson or Ben Elliott right now.
Lampkin lost a shoe and then managed to pass it to Davion Atkins, who scored. This is a 7-0 uninterrupted run for Dan River, and Coach Casey Johnson wants to take time. Wildcats 28, Colonels 19. We're back in 30 on 105.5 KD Country.
The Heavenly Home of Altavista would like to show their support and wish the Altavista Colonels a great season. Licensed by the Department of Behavioral Health, the De Heavenly Home assists clients with intellectual and developmental disabilities and currently accepts waivers or private pay. For more information, contact Zakaya Pinnell at 434-251-3466 or email them at thedeheavenlyhome@gmail.com. Let's go, Colonels!
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
The Altavista Colonels trailed 19-15 to begin the second quarter. A good little burst had it tied on the scoreboard, but not actually tied. Colonels did get within 2, it seems like, officially. And then a 7-0 run from Dan River makes it a 9-point Wildcat advantage at the moment. Oscar Briggs checking in, saying he thinks Coach Casey Johnson should be pleased with his team's early efforts in this one. A real burst from Dan River, though, and the Wildcats can do that. Christian Garvin trying to circle the defense and run through the baseline, stepped on that byline. He's out of bounds. That's a turnover with 5:50 left to play in the first half. Wildcats looking to go up double digits for the first time tonight. Jameer Reynolds sent up in the left wing. He wants the basketball, but ball's on the right side with Josiah Lampkin. He's going to try to dribble by Andrew Stone. He got stymied from about 25 feet away, and there's a steal. Sean Clay jumping in front of the pass from Jameer Reynolds. Altavista basketball in the road orange jerseys. Here's Jontez Lee. Right side. 3-pointer coming from Andrew Stone, and it's a bullseye from the junior. He's in the scorebooks now. Colonels really the pretty equitable distribution of the scoring other than Jontez Lee's 10. 5-12. Jontez Lee working for a steal. I think he's going to get called for a foul. Slap the wrist of Josiah Lampkin as he was trying to angle into the painted area.
Good for the Colonels to get back in with those big shots, too. Dan River's such a good team. They don't need help. And if you are making those turnovers, unforced, so to speak, that's not something that you want to do.
28-22, Dan River by 6.
Either side, really.
5:02 left to play here in the second quarter. Lampkin dribbling. Now he's trapped by Stone and Slayton, and Andrew Stone's going to pick up the steal for Altavista. He'll get double-teamed and handcuffed and fouled. Whistle blows just shy of the midcourt stripe. Stops the clock with 4:54 left to play in the half. Still Dan River by 6. Here comes Jameer Edmonds in the ballgame.
Do you think there's such a thing as the defense being too aggressive?
Well, if you run into foul trouble, right. For example, Altavista had 3 players foul out against Dan River last week. Stone from way downtown. I mean, that one was from Route 29, missed, but had plenty of mustard. And then there's a foul as Tavion Fitz was trying to break out and run the attack for the Wildcats. Yeah, I mean, you definitely got to have a balance to your point. I think right now Coach Casey Johnson's happy with the level of physicality. One-hand pass from Reynolds went through the lane to Davion Atkins, who fumbled slightly, but it was tapped out of bounds by an Altavista player.
Well, it seems like when Dan River turns it over, they get very, very aggressive. Like they have to get it back within a half second. And I think it's leading to them fouling.
And there's a turnover right there. Jamari Slayton jumping in front of an errant pass. He had trouble controlling the dribble, but it's still Altavista basketball in the left front court. Spence Fisher has it in the corner. There's a takeaway up top. Colonels will regain the possession. Bodies spilling everywhere, including Jamari Slayton and Andrew Stone running into each other. And it's going to be Dan River basketball. That really brought their crowd alive.
I thought my point was going to be made more.
Yeah.
I thought there was a foul against Dan River there.
I did too, actually. 4:15 left to play in the half. Colonels double team, now triple team. In the corner, Atkins dribbling, now stepping back, shooting, and making it from the right side. Nice mid-range there from Davion Atkins. Puts Dan River up by 8 again. 30-22. Angled pass from Slayton to Garvin, and then Garvin threw it away. Dan River basketball after the takeback. Wildcats looking to go up a full double digits, 10. Can't convert on the reverse lay-in from Atkins. Now it's Altavista basketball. On a big hurry is Sean Clay getting to the left side of the rim and scoring. 6-point Dan River advantage now after the Clay basket. Different kind of game. I mean, nobody's really setting up shop here in a half-court offense, are they? Jameer Edmonds tried to do some barnstorming coming in from the right side. Spence Fisher took the hit, and that is a charge offensive foul on Jameer Edmonds.
Good job by Spence Fisher. You know it's coming. You know they're going to hit you. Can you just kind of take that hit? And Spence Fisher does.
Yeah, great call. Edmonds kind of telegraphed it there, and Fisher, I don't want to say he's a charge-taking specialist, but he's pretty darn good at it. He'll throw a long pass into the front court. Colonels have the basketball blocked at the rim. Slayton wanted a goaltend. Here comes a lay-in that will fall from Davion Atkins. It hung up on the steal for a long time and then finally dropped into the mesh for 2. Wildcats steal the basketball back. That's Atkins. He had to take a deep breath after getting that one. Worked hard for it. Triple on the way from Fitz. No good. High rebound by Reynolds. He wanted to dunk that one. He'll settle for the lay-in. Probably took some contact. No whistle. But now Dan River by 10. 34-24. There is a goaltend. I think they're going to call that basket good. Count the bucket from Jamari Slayton, as that one was already on the way back down after the window. That was a talking point for us last week, Bob, in Dan River's win. Wildcats block shots, and sometimes it looks like they could be goaltending. Oh, three-pointer good from Atkins.
You got some folks tired, too. I mean, both sides. You got some folks that are breathing out of the mouth.
Totally agree. 37-26. Altavista down 11. They've given the basketball away again. This is a real surge here from Dan River in the second quarter. Lay-in won't fall. Jontez Lee had the rebound for a moment. It was stolen away by Jameer Edmonds. He powered up for 2, got fouled, and will step to the free throw line for 2 after his putback attempt, or not really a putback, but his shot attempt was no good. You're right. I mean, both sides are gassed. It's about as tired as you will see 10 teenagers right here.
Well, and I mean, you know, you talk about Dan River and how they played the athletic style of play. They're toughing too. I mean, they were the ones I initially saw being tired. Subs coming in both ways. 2 for Dan River. I want to say 2, maybe 3 for Altavista. I think it's 2.
Yeah, it looks like Malachi Ford and Andrew Stone back in. They join Christian Garvin, Jamari Slayton, and Jontez Lee, who stay. Much-needed breathers for Sean Clay and Spence Fisher.
Watson checked in on Dan River, so I think that kind of alters the style of play for them, because I think that puts them into a more of a post play than a run and gun.
Don't disagree. Garvin will shoot on Watson and score. Watson did well to wall up there, didn't want to commit a foul, but Garvin with nice body control shot it over the outstretched arms. Altavista within 11, 39-28. There's a foul right side, a full 30 feet away from the basket. And it will be 5 on Altavista, so it will send Tavion Fitz to the line right for a two-shot situation here with 2:12 left to play in the half. Dan River 39, Altavista 28.
If you get cold over the next few days, I want to say Englishes can help you out.
Oh, yeah.
To get you a little bit warmed up. They're sponsoring this quarter.
Carhartt clothing for men and women. Plus, if you need to get over there tomorrow morning, get some of that ice melt, the salt, the snow shovels, the brooms, all those things could come in handy for our next winter storm. Fitz missed them both. Jamari Slayton with a rebound for the Altavista Colonels. Lost the handle. Now he's going to show off the handles a bit with a behind-the-back dribble. He'll push a bounce pass up ahead to Garvin. Garvin wants 3. Missed it. Air ball. Picked up on one bounce by Matthew Watson. Reynolds running. Lost it momentarily. Andrew Stone has it in a crowd. Pushes it to Christian Garvin. Garvin attacking, shooting over Watson again. That one was partially blocked. Malachi Ford, an offensive rebound for Altavista, kind of got stuck underneath the backboard. His shot attempt actually hit the padding and then went out of bounds. It's Dan River ball with the 11-point lead.
I'll tell you what, when you look out on the court, you just look at Stone, and he sticks out because he looks like he's the little guy. Well, the little guy can play.
No doubt. Jontez Lee, not the tallest guy out there either.
Right.
But you're on it again, Bob. You got a shutout going tonight. Here's Reynolds. He'll lean in, banging past Malachi Ford for another basket. I think it's 15 for Jameer Reynolds now. We'll double check at half. 41-28. 90 seconds left to play in this first half. Here's Garvin just outside the lane. Snap pass to Slayton. He'll rise and fire from the left elbow and make it off the window and in. Didn't call the bank, but no pictures on the scoreboard. Altavista down 11 again. Andrew Stone with another steal. You are right, Bob Alvis. The little guy can play. Stone is really mixing it up on the defensive side tonight. You know, early in the year, we kind of thought of him as a three-point specialist. He's given the Colonels a lot on D.
And you could say Dan River gets the ball back. Well, I can say Altavista gets the arrow back.
That's right. It is Dan River basketball, front court right. Open 3 coming from Davion Atkins. That hit the backboard first, no good. Reynolds with a rebound. Had to dribble one time, but he managed to spin it up and in through 3 defenders. There's Jameer Reynolds again, using that size to his advantage. Great touch around the rim, too. Bounce pass from Ford to Slayton. He'll dribble through the lane. Fastball's one to Garvin. That was too hot to handle, too cold to hold. Dan River's going to have to save the ball in. Jontez Lee gets it for Altavista.
40 seconds left.
It's wild. It's back and forth, Bob. In the corner to Slayton. Couldn't gather an off-target pass to shoot. Then he actually threw his pass to a Wildcat defender. And Dan River basketball with 31.2 seconds left in the half.
Dan River up the Baker. It's Dozen, Clay, and Fisher. Check back in. Altavista's got 30 seconds to keep Dan River off the glass and maybe get their own board back. Has another substitution comes in. It's Davis for Altavista.
Yeah, and Grayson Cox, actually. The Colonels had 6. Colonels had 6 for a moment.
Okay.
Spence Fisher ran off. He saw it. Colonels playing with 5 now. 43-30. Dan River basketball. Oh, Colonel's going to get the basketball back. Yeah, off-target pass. Watson couldn't get the outstretched arm on that heater. And so now the Colonels maybe with a chance for potential momentum heading to the dressing room. Down to 15 to play. Nope, stolen by Jameer Reynolds. Reynolds passes underneath. He wants the lob dunk. Missed it. Trying for a little showtime there. Wonder if that burns the Wildcats or not. Basketball is out of play with 7.2 seconds left. Reynolds passed it to Atkins, who could have had an uncontested layup. He instead tried to lob it to the front of the rim so Reynolds could come for the alley-oop dunk. And he missed the dunk. Colonel's defense recovered at that point. There's Edmonds. He lost the basketball on the way up. Buzzer beater try coming from Demarion Davis. Had plenty of strength, but the accuracy was not there. He misses. And the second quarter has come to an end as the buzzer kind of continues to go. Usually the buzzer sounds for about a half a second or a full second. It's just continued this whole time. There we go. Finally stopped. And yes, the Bakers dozen lead as Dan River and Altavista head to the intermission. Now the scoreboard's gone haywire, but Dan River's up 13 after 2 quarters of play. 43-30 Wildcats, and we're back in 90 seconds on 105.5 KD Country.
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving families since 1905.
Hello, I'm Trey Finch, the 5th generation Finch family to serve this community. We are proud to be the only Virginia funeral home to win the Pursuit of Excellence Award from the National Funeral Directors Association. We offer many products and services in addition to the ones that are expected, such as pet cremation and burial, custom printing. We also capture your loved one's DNA and fingerprints and have many options to go along with that. And of course, our most popular employee, Oliver, the Golden Doodle therapy dog, which is available to all families at their time of need. Please reach out to us if you'd like to learn more about us and what we have to offer.
We are Lynchburg Garage Door, where excellence meets experience. From secure and functional commercial doors to stylish and sleek residential doors, we do all things overhead doors. Whether you're in the market for a new garage door, installation services, or repairs, Lynchburg Garage Door is here for you. Our dedicated team of experts is committed to delivering top-notch services tailored to your needs. We understand that your garage door is more than just an entry point. It's a statement of your home's personality and style. That's why we offer a wide range of high-quality garage door designs, from classic to contemporary, ensuring that you will find the perfect match for your home and personality. From secure and functional commercial doors to sleek and stylish residential doors, we have all of Central Virginia covered. Contact us today and let's open the door to a secure and stylish future together.
Man, I loved playing high school sports growing up. And it's fun being a fan now, don't get me wrong, but sitting in the stands feels like I'm missing out on all the action, you know? I wanted to get back in the game, so I signed up to be a high school official. They take me back to my playing days. I'm supporting students, and I get paid to make the big calls. Do you want to see the game up close? Sign up to become an official in Virginia at highschoolofficials.com.
Brought to you by English Construction Company, with offices in Lynchburg.
Your station for high school sports play-by-play is 105.5 KD Country.
Halftime in Ringgold, the home team, Dan River Wildcats, leading 43-30 over the Altavista Colonels. Kyle Hoehne and Bob Alvis hanging out with you. Eleanor is our sound engineer. We appreciate you tuning in on this Monday night. I'm sure Danny Barber had us listening there, Vernon Sauser maybe, and we'll throw out a few more hellos and shout-outs as our halftime show proceeds, Bob. Boy, what a fun first half of basketball. Wildcats got the better of it. You know, the Colonels actually had a pretty good start to tie the game in the early stages of the second quarter. Now, they were tied on the scoreboard. Dan River actually still had a 2-point lead. That got adjusted. About the same time we were figuring out that situation, Dan River just exploded, really put their foot on the accelerator, and now the Wildcats lead by 13.
I believe a wise man at the beginning of this said you cannot let Dan River get on a 4-6-0 run. And when the Wildcats do, it's not so much that they're getting on a 4-6-0 run, which it does hurt, don't get me wrong. I think it gives them confidence in a weird way. And maybe not weird, because they're up 13 right now. And, you know, no matter who you are, it's hard to make up margins once they get so outlandish, because then you got to hit threes and you got to make stops. And that's hard to do both on a consistent basis for, 3 minutes?
Exactly. You get in that hole, you have to. If you don't change your style of play, you have to be perfect at your style of play and basically never have wasted possessions, never miss shots, and that's not realistic. So, yeah, you're right. It's what we said Altavista should try and avoid. And, again, not exactly rocket science. Basketball coaches have been saying that for years. But the Colonels right now are in a 13-point hole. Doesn't mean they can't recover it. Altavista did hit the 1 3-pointer. That's Andrew Stone. He's got the triple. Colonels have the scoring spread around. You want me to read you some scoring numbers here?
I would love it.
I'll go for it. Let's go over to the Dan River side. Jameer Reynolds leading all scorers with 17 points. Bob and I can discuss how the Colonels should feel about that in just a moment. But continuing, Jameer Edmonds for Dan River has 3. Josiah Lampkin 1. Davion Atkins a sneaky good 11 points, including a 3-pointer. Tavion Fitz has 5. Matthew Watson with 6 for the Wildcats, who are 13-5 entering this contest. They had an 8-game win streak snapped on Friday in a loss to Nelson. On the other side, for the Altavista Colonels, it looks like they have 7 in the books, Bob, which is good. Christian Garvin with 4, Andrew Stone 3, Sean Clay 4, Spence Fisher just a solitary 1 point from the free throw line, Jamari Slayton 6, Malachi 4-2, and Jontez Lee, the first year leading Altavista with 10. Colonels are 10-9 on the season. They've lost back-to-back, including to Dan River last week on Tuesday. Also lost to Gretna on Friday of last week. So the scoring there, again, for the Colonels, I like the fact that they're spreading the wealth, just not quite enough of it. You have to feel like maybe some more threes would be required. That's a double-edged sword, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's very double-edged, and I think at the end of the day, if you're Altavista, you want to try to get on a winning streak and just snap a losing streak, if nothing else. But, hey, Casey Johnson's been doing this a lot longer than I have. So he knows what he's doing, and at the end of the day, I think he's seeing stuff that he can, pick apart, scheme here and there. And let's not lose sight of one thing, too. This game should probably be 45-30. Dan River tried a lob, ill-advised probably when you had an easy 2. And that can maybe swing it and help the Colonels in a way, too.
Yeah, if you could potentially, great save there as we had a ball coming our direction, and one of the JV guys just sprinted out to save us. That was fantastic.
I saw that coming.
Yeah, well, we are in the splash zone, and you have your story, and I want to revisit that, and I also promised the fans that you would tell us a story that you had about, and let me reset. 43-30, Dan River by 13 here. It's Kyle and Bob, but I told the fans that you had a story about a player staying in the game after they had fouled out, because Keith and I had this recently. So as best as you can recall, fill in the blanks on that, because didn't that player score or something later on?
One of the same officials is here, too, because what happened was...
Those names will be changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah, they're in witness protection. What happened was there was a player that got 5 fouls. Everybody at the table held up 5.
Right.
Me, I was announcing, the bookkeeper, the clock operator, everybody's holding up 5. The fault in that is nobody hit the horn to signify 5. So the officials apparently, I guess, thought we were all stretching our right arms out and did not, take the guy out. Well, the guy committed another foul. So when he committed another foul, the official came over and I said, "That's a 6." And it was like the deer in headlights look in the eyes. So that got a technical for the team that didn't get the guy off the floor. Well,
so they got a technical foul for that.
Correct.
Wow. Did that player score or no?
No, he just committed another foul.
A 6th foul, right? And then So we didn't have exactly the same situation, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. But now, since we're into Bob Alvis story time, fireside chats with Bob Alvis, and let me just mention again, it's Dan River 43, Altavista 30. We are at halftime in Ringgold. Tell us the story about, I think you're down at William and Mary, right, for a state quarter?
With Oscar Briggs.
Was it a region game?
No, it was state quarter. It was Altavista and West Point.
And you're courtside.
Yeah, and Oscar was such a great help because he stood up to catch the guy at the legs. Well, the guy didn't. The legs were gone by that point. He didn't catch him at his legs. Well, anyway, he clobbers me, and I go falling on the floor. Johnny Wimbush is the only one that asked me if I was okay.
Yeah.
And I was. Yeah. Wimbush fell over, too, by the way.
Okay.
But, it's not a big deal.
So multiple players went into the table.
2 and me.
Yeah.
So, I'm not a player, but 2 and me.
But it's like one of those pro wrestling things where the guy jumps into multiple people through a table. And, it's
not a big deal normally if you get hit by, I'm not trying to knock anybody here, but if you get hit by an Altavista guy here, it's not like they're, 6'7", 280.
Yeah.
Well, this was the one person in 1A that was 6'7" and 280, Aaron Rohn, who went to play tight end at the University of Richmond. Just the biggest person I guess we could find comes and knocks me down. So
you guys got knocked off the air briefly, right? Or no?
That's probably a reason why one of the headset didn't work after that.
Right. That's fun. Well, we'll get back to modern times here. How long ago was that?
I've tried to black it out.
Oh, yeah,
no, I don't know if it's been 15. I think it's been like 10.
Okay.
But, it's
you do know it's 2025, right?
Yeah, I got amnesia from getting hit.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying 10 years ago was Juan Thornhill and the Johnson twins and Michi Malbeck, and I know it was before that.
Yeah, you're probably
Sorry,
right.
I wasn't trying to.
No, I always like it when you correct me.
I know. On live radio with everybody listening. Yeah.
Hey, Dan River just came back out, by the way. They lead 43-30.
Yeah, and that's a good transition to bringing it back to this game. What do you think? I mean, Ben Elliott, I think, I won't say better than anybody, but better than I do. Why do you think he kept the guys in the locker room a little bit longer? I mean, I think most fans would say, wow, Dan River's up 13. What could he be upset about? And maybe he wasn't upset, but longer chat. Okay.
I think he was upset about that.
You think it was the dunk? Yeah.
I think it was because if you're going to do that, it better go in.
Yeah.
And I'm not, this is not Bob Alvis talking. This is any high school coach. If you have a basket we talked about it on the way down, 10 feet and within.
Yeah.
It's got to go in.
And Davion Atkins had an uncontested layup that he passed up to try to throw the little Showtime lob dunk.
I mean, yeah, people can't see me
putting my arms up in a shrug. Arms up in the air.
But, I mean, you got to take that, too, because this is, every point counts here.
Yep. Team switch sides. Altavista is going to go left to right from our perspective, scoring on the hoop closest to us in half number 2. Andrew Stone's going to try to pop the top on the scoring. Couldn't make it from the left wing, and it's a rebound by Davion Atkins. Dan River will head the other direction, wearing the home whites, leading by 13 and now by 15 after a transition basket. Really good job to run the floor there. I think it was Josiah Lampkin that scored. Garvin's going to pull up from the right baseline, and he nails that one. Christian Garvin in the books with the first points of the second half for Altavista. 45-32. Wildcats in close again. Atkins missed from the left side. Putback is good from number 22, Jamarion Davis. Davis had not scored in the first half, so now he's got a bucket. 47-32. Here's Garvin trying to line drive it in on the move from the right side. No good. Big Jameer Reynolds has the rebound. Still with the basketball. Now he's lost it. Jontez Lee with the steal. Angles away from a defender. Almost got his pocket picked from behind, but he checked the rearview mirror just in the nick. We're a minute in. There's a steal. Tavion Fitz. He'll fly it up to the rim and score. Count that basket.
Altavista has not lost any bit of confidence, I don't think, but unfortunately for them, neither is Dan River.
Wildcats on a 6-2 run to begin quarter number 3. Jontez Lee thinking about a wraparound pass. He'll think better of it. There's Andrew Stone, right wing 3, knocking the bottom out of it from 22 feet. Andrew Stone's second triple of the evening. 49-35. Wildcats by 14 in their home gym in front of a spirited crowd. There's the hang and score from the right side by number 22, Jamarion Davis again. 6'1 sophomore, by the way, Bob. More of that young talent.
I think when you score against some teams, they look phased, but Dan River doesn't look phased. Casey Johnson called a timeout.
We'll take a breather as well. 30-second timeout for us. Dan River, 51. Altavista, 35. 6:12 left to play in the third on 105.5 KD Country.
PCM Industrial Services of Altavista is a heavy industrial contractor specializing in welding and mechanical repair services. PCM is a Class A contractor, both OSHA and MSHA certified. PCM Industrial embraces teamwork and dedication to a common goal. PCM Industrial wishes all of the Colonel athletes and coaches a great, successful season. Go Colonels!
More live high school sports action on 105.5 KD Country.
The Dan River Wildcats led by 13 at the halftime break. The lead got up to 19 at one point in this third quarter, Bob. Right now, Wildcats on top by 16, 51-35. Bob Alvis, my tag team partner, and you're checking in. I think a great time out there from Coach Casey Johnson. You got to do something to slow down this Wildcat momentum.
Well, they were trapped in bad position anyway to get out of it, and you don't want to let it really snowball and get away from you here.
It's an 8-5 quarter right now in favor of Dan River. They're showing full court pressure, and it's more than just a show. They really put a vice grip on you as you try to break that timeline. Christian Garvin in the lane. Good job to hesitate and be patient and let Reynolds actually come back down from a jump and then score on him. 8 points for Christian Garvin. Colonels are going to get the basketball back. Stingy defense from Altavista. I think we thought Altavista's defensive effort in half one was pretty good. A+ at times.
You want to break the press any way you can, but I don't think you want to get into the habit of long passes, and that's what Altavista's having had happen to them tonight.
Garvin got his pocket picked, and he's going to scramble and get the basketball back. On the ground, pitches to Sean Clay, who missed. He had Reynolds coming from behind trying to block, and I wonder if that altered the shot. Now Dan River with a chance, but they've had the basketball kicked out of play. Still Wildcats possession. Baseline inbound coming up with 5:33 left to play in quarter number 3. 51-37, Dan River. Jamari Slayton checking back in for the Altavista Colonels. Andrew Stone out. 5:30 left in the third. It's brought to you by English's Your Complete Home Center. Reynolds will come in, side questing through the defense. Couldn't get it to drop with a right-hand finish. Oh, shot block on the perimeter by Sean Clay, blocking a three-point attempt. That's impressive. Pinball came back to Josiah Lampkin, and he did not miss from left of center. There's a foul. Lampkin got into the body of Sean Clay as he was catching a long pass. Stops the clock with 5:11 left in the third. Dan River 54, Altavista 37.
That's where I keep coming back to those fouls that are not needed, but you're being so aggressive that they find you, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that you're bringing it up. Definitely balance required. You get 5, but you'd hate to be playing in a close game in the fourth quarter with 4.
Make them count, though.
Exactly right. Jamari Slayton bounce pass to Stone. He's got an open 3 from the corner, and it's a bullseye. 3-ball, corner pocket. Altavista down by 14. Andrew Stone with a little Monday triple play. 3 trifectas, 54-40. 5 minutes and change. Oh, there's an answer 3 from the left corner from Jamarion Davis, who's coming alive.
Stone's was a little more contested. Davis had it more open. Stone's doing a great job out there, passing and everything.
Slayton, long 2, rolls off, rebounded, yanked out of the sky by Jamarion Davis, who's really putting together a great third quarter. We've got 4.5 left in it, so not exactly midway through just yet. Air ball. Spence Fisher caught the basketball, then lost it, and then it's Jameer Reynolds just straight up the cylinder, putting it home with a soft dunk. Sean Clay will catch a long pass and finish in transition for 2. It's back and forth here, line-to-line basketball. A lot of long passing, as Bob mentioned, and a lot of quick scoring. Here's a pull-up jumper on the way and good from Davion Atkins. Nails it from 15 feet outside lane left. That ball hit Josiah Lampkin in the face. Bounces back to Lee. Up to Stone. Stone will hang. Watson got into him on a foul. Are they going to give him the basket or not, Bob? It took a while.
I would. But I'm not officiating tonight.
He was in the act of shooting.
They're going to say it's on the floor.
Yeah.
I don't know how it wasn't in the act, to be honest with you.
Definitely one you get the continuation on in the NBA. Here's Garvin back in the ballgame for Altavista. And he'll take the place of Spence Fisher. It's Lee, Garvin, Stone, Clay, and Slayton. 61-42. Basketball sent backwards as Jamarion Davis swats it away from Jontez Lee trying to get the ball in. Sean Clay, a little taller passer, will step in. Fakes one way, passes to the top. Ball's free. Colonels have it back. Stone steps into another triple. That's no good. Rebounded by big Matthew Watson. Then he lost it. Garvin with a little Grand Theft Auto right there to rip it away from him. And then Garvin got fouled. Then they're going to tee up Matthew Watson.
I don't know why.
Kind of slammed the back padding here, but it wasn't like he directed it at anybody else. I think it was his own frustration, right?
Well, you and I have talked about this many times. I mean, and this is going to be me taking up for officials. Yeah, mark this one down in your scrapbook. If you don't know what type of mood somebody's in, and you don't know what they might think your reaction is.
Sure.
So you're better off just doing nothing.
Yep.
Because they could interpret it a certain way.
And I think that's exactly what happened. I think the referee thought Watson was mad at getting whistled for a foul. I think Watson was mad at himself for losing the ball when Garvin came from behind. It's going to be a foul and a technical foul on Matthew Watson. So that's 2 quick ones. It'll be Garvin at the line to shoot 2, and then Altavista will have 2 technical fouls. So regardless of what you think about the call, Colonels really need to cash in right here. Garvin, perfect swish on the first free throw. I mean, right? Altavista's going to have 2 more after this, correct? Should. And I'm also marking that down about the referees, too. The way we had story time at halftime, we'll revisit that one in here. According to my notes, this says that on Monday, February 10th,
So Garvin shot the 2 on the foul.
Yep.
Stone's shooting the technical shot.
And then the Colonels
And then don't forget, I was going to say, don't forget about that.
Garvin made 1 of 2. And Stone will swish the first. 61-44. And if nothing else, it takes away some of that Dan River momentum that I think we all agreed they had going there, especially in the early stages of the third quarter. Devin Shelton's checked in, saying he's got us locked on. I don't know if you've ever met Devin Shelton, but you need to. Big-time NBA guy like me.
I think I've talked to him a few times.
Me and Devin.
If not, hi, Devin. It's Bob. Nice to meet you.
It is Altavista basketball. 61-45. Stone will fake the 3. 2 dribbles. Had the pass stolen away. Here come the Wildcats again. Jamarion Davis. He'll finish it with the right hand, and he got fouled on the way to the rim as well. Jamarion Davis, a 6'1 sophomore, did not score in half number 1, according to my records. He's got 9 in the third quarter. Some electric defense as well.
And, I don't think Reynolds has that much in the third quarter. Maybe 2.
2,
yeah. I mean, Reynolds has kind of been, I don't want to say a decoy, but I think Reynolds has, people look at him. I mean, he sticks out, too. And people look at him, but Reynolds has not been the master of the ball in this quarter.
Davis converts the 3-point play with the free throw. Dan River up 19. we thought the Colonels might have a chance to get back in the ball game. All of a sudden, the Wildcats are up 19. Spence Fisher too strong on a straightaway triple. And it's rebounded by Jamarion Davis, who really is the straw that stirs the drink in the third quarter. Here's Reynolds faking, driving, lost the ball. Colonels with a steal. Jamari Slayton running the break, angling in. Got stripped as he was entering the painted area, which at Dan River is actually unpainted. But I hope folks know what I'm talking about. The lane, the key. I don't know. What else can you call it?
Keep in mind, too, real quick, these two are not going to see each other in the playoffs. So Altavista's probably not going to see anybody as good as Dan River. Dan River's going to see people just as good as them.
Yeah, great point. Here's Jameer Reynolds. Hop, skip, and a jump. Got to the hole. Missed it, but he was fouled. Yeah, Dan River is a Class 2, a 2A school, if you don't know. So they will be in the playoffs with the likes of Nelson and Gretna, Appomattox.
And that 2A bracket's a little funny, too, if I'm not mistaken. Don't they have, like, I don't want to say 32, but they've got, like, quadrants of that.
Yeah. It's a meat grinder when you add folks like Martinsville and Glenver in there, and a Liberty Minutemen would be in there too, right?
You can go as far southwest as Floyd.
Yeah, that's right.
It can get.
That's right. That is a big region. That's Region 2C.
Right. People want to talk about trips in the Dogwood. Well, make a trip in Region 2.
Yeah.
And that, again, that's a regional game.
Yep.
Most regional games are, maybe an hour, hour and 15, but not like that.
Yeah, that's not even a state tournament at that point. Altavista, if you don't know, is Region 1B. They're Class 1. Some folks still call it 1A, but the VHSL prefers the Class 1 through 6 terminology.
I'm a rebel. I say 1A.
I love that. Reynolds canned both the free throws, by the way. Here's Jamari Slayton weaving through traffic. Strong pass in the corner to Andrew Stone. Stone lost the ball. Slayton will get it back. He's in the lane line right, throws it up over a defender. Missed the shot, but Slayton was fouled. Pretty crafty there to actually just get that off in the tall timber.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say the English's third quarter has been great. The Altavista at 66-45, Dan River. The Colonels have just not been able to score, but unfortunately they can't stop Dan River from scoring, and I don't think that's their fault. I think Dan River's just really good.
Yeah. Wildcats averaging 66 points per game.
Well, they hit it.
Yeah, exactly. And with 2:43 left in the third. Their high of 84 came against Altavista last week. I think we can say this is a Dan River team that is playing their best basketball when it's about to matter most in the playoffs. Slayton missed both. Reynolds pulled that off the rim, but then lost it. Stone then lost the basketball. It's still free. We've had a lot of that. It's a steal, a recapture, a repossession, whatever you want to call it, and then the ball ends up in the front row in this occasion. I don't know. Do you think that makes it more fun to watch, or is it less aesthetically pleasing when that happens?
That's one for the mathematicians out there. I'm not sure. Dan River driving to the basket. No good on the shot. Davion Atkins is going to be fouled, though. I did not catch who made the foul on him. That's why you're here. It's going to be 2 shots for Atkins,
down at the stats. I think it was Andrew Stone. That's who I'm going to give it to. I've got Stone with having 2.
How many times have we said we are very unofficial?
Oh, yeah. Every game still. Every game I throw it in there. Atkins missed the first.
No, you go ahead. I was just trying to help.
I appreciate that. You are helpful. To the umpteenth degree, which is a fun phrase that probably isn't used enough. Atkins missed both. Second one in and out. There's an offensive rebound from Jamarion Davis. Boy, in addition to being 6'1" and quick, he's powerful too.
Good defense by the Colonels not to foul there and just to strip.
Yeah, they went down low and stripped it away from him. Very nice. Rhythm three-pointer from Sean Clay. Clang that one off the iron from the left side. That's rebounded by Jameer Edmonds for Dan River. 66-45. Wildcats up 21. It was a 13-point lead at the break. Dan River led by 4 after the first 8 minutes of basketball, Bob. We did have 3 ties and 1 lead change in the early exchanges. Stone thought about the step-back 3, passes in the corner to Clay. He bounces it along the line to Slayton, who missed from the right side. Here's Garvin trying to pick up a loose ball for Altavista. Can't secure it.
What I don't think people talk about often enough is it's hard to rebound threes.
Yeah, good point. Let's get back to that after a quick timeout with Dan River leading 66-45. Wildcats by 21 with under 2 to play in the third on 105.5 KD Country.
English is
so much more.
English is
more than a hardware store.
English
is your complete home center. Everything for every job you do. Always here for you.
Get the quality you really need. That's English is
so much more.
English is
more than a hardware store.
English
is your complete home center.
On North Main Street, Altavista. Back to the press box for high school sports on 105.5 KD Country.
Hello again, basketball fans. We're in the third quarter. It's Dan River 66, Altavista 45. I'm Kyle Hoehne, and the big slugger beside me, the knockout artist, always a puncher's chance, Bob Alvis.
You know, I know you and Piper have a good time and do a good job and everything, but I don't think there are any more two-class clowns than us that can actually do a decent job describing action to you as well. I mean, Kyle and I is literally like two kids went to the principal's office and just started talking.
Yeah, the feedback has been good so far. Let's not screw it up.
Dan River gets loose underneath. Kyle didn't mean to step on you. Damarian Robertson, whose name has not been called very much tonight, but it gets called right there, and Dan River up 68-45. Stone's got the basketball and gives it up.
Yeah, defense was out, extended past the free throw line, and Robertson was open. Some up and under moves from Jamari Slayton. Post play for the guard. Can't cash in. Here's number 30, Trevor Thomas, who's in the game for Dan River. Over to the right side, and that is Tavion Fitz, who will run it up and in for two more. 70 for Dan River. They lead 70-45. We are going to get back to that long rebound, the three-pointer thing in a second, as Altavista has thrown the basketball out of play again. Now the Colonels, a rare time where they look a little disorganized. Let's see if the energy drops off here.
Dan River's playing fast, though, at all times, which kind of surprises me a little bit. Even when they're up 25, they're still going really fast. We hit 60 seconds to go in the English's third. Seas parted, layup no good by Jameer Edmonds.
Clay had the rebound for the Colonels, and he got whacked. Should be two foul shots coming. Yeah, Dan River's over the limit. That means Altavista's in the bonus.
Imperative again to knock these down.
No doubt. And just back to what you're talking about with Dan River. You know, we've said this is the stretch run. This is the end of the regular season. Dan River's 13-5. I believe they've got 4 on the schedule. We'll see how many the weather allows. Do you need to start thinking about a slow-down game in case you need to go to that in the playoffs? Is that something a coach would be thinking about now?
I don't think so, because if I'm used to playing fast, I want to keep playing fast. Yeah. I mean, you know, I like the chances of speeding my opponent up more than them slowing me down at this level.
Don't disagree with you at all. If you got your A game, if you got your style of play, don't necessarily want to deviate from that. Boy, that is a very nice layup. Slashing through from the right side, Josiah Lampkin. He came in full speed, went through underneath the hoop, and then spun it up with maximum English with the left hand there. That was ultra impressive. Jontez Lee nearly walked, trying to pass from left to right side of the court to Andrew Stone. Now Stone will dribble over to the left. Handoff for Christian Garvin. Garvin looking for space, working against tight defense. Jamari Slayton right low post. Colonel's kind of spreading the floor. It'll lead to an open three from Andrew Stone. No good. Slayton with a rebound. He'll hoist up a floater from just outside the lane, mid-post right. Now Garvin gets a second chance, and he got slapped around a bit in the effort to get the ball up out of his hands. 2 free throws coming for Christian Garvin. It stops the clock with 13.1 seconds left in the third.
I think it was on Robertson, if I'm not mistaken. You know, I'll tell you what, Altavista's played, I think, good defense tonight. When you talk about these circus shots that Dan River's making, I mean, it's not like the defense is just stopping on them, but Dan River makes the hard look easy.
They really have. That's a great way to phrase that. As Garvin cans the first free throw, Demarion Davis in off the bench for the Altavista Colonels. Davis, Malachi Ford, Jontez Lee, Christian Garvin, and Andrew Stone. Garvin's second one hung up on the 10 for a while, but never fell down into the twine. 72-47 with 6 on the clock. It's another quick basket from Dan River. Tavion Fitz scores it. Here comes a buzzer beater from Jontez Lee. He hit the backboard, but it's no good. And we've got 3 quarters in the books. Here comes period number 4 next, with Dan River leading 74-47 on 105.5 KD Country.
A short drive will save you money.
Car buying is simple at Feller Chevrolet. You can buy online or at the store. It's quick, easy, and a clean, safe environment. We have non-commissioned salespeople and a 3-day money-back guarantee so you can buy with confidence. Fellers is also here after the sale. We can do warranty work on all GM cars, not just Chevrolets, and our techs can service all makes and models. No matter what your automotive needs, I promise we can deliver. So come see us. You'll be glad you did.
Feller Chevrolet in Altavista.
Now back to the action with Colonel Sports on 105.5 KD Country.
Fourth quarter about to get started. Kyle and Bob just goofing off, having a good time, watching some great basketball. Dan River's getting the better of it right now. Here's the quarter scoring for the game, Bob. Dan River won the first quarter 19-15. They won the second quarter 25-15. They won the third quarter 31-17. So Altavista's scoring output has basically remained the same. Dan River has picked it up every single quarter. Now, if they top that in the fourth quarter, then we'll be over 100, which right now is possible for the Wildcats. They lead 74-47.
And 15-15-17 is nothing to sneeze at.
Not at all. No, that's, again, most high school coaches would tell you, kind of the old Mark Slusher rule. You get to 50 first, play a little defense, you should be okay. Not in this one, at least not in this era that Dan River has going. Here's Jontez Lee, has the steal. One-man fast break as Lee kind of angled away from Tavion Fitz and scored it. Lee's got a dozen, Altavista trailing 74-49. Watch that scoreboard again. Still says 74-47, which was the score to end the fourth quarter. Here's Jameer Reynolds banking one home just as they change the scoreboard. They'll have to change it again and give the Wildcats two more and a chance for one extra. Jameer Reynolds scored and got hit as he was knocking it home.
Yeah, we talked about it, and I'll get back to it real quick. If you're scoring 47 in the third quarter, you think you're going to be okay. You're not counting on the other team scoring 74.
Yeah. Missed free throw. Jontez Lee gobbled up the rebound in the middle of the lane. Now he'll skip across the timeline with a right-hand dribble. Fakes a pass, still dribbling, but he nearly lost it. Needs somewhere to go. Garvin made himself available right wing. Now Garvin offloading to Spence Fisher. There's a foul on the floor. Should be on number 12, Davion Atkins. Colonels to inbound, baseline right just in front of us here. Trailing 76-49. 51 seconds into the English is your complete home center. Fourth quarter. English is ready for that winter storm. Go see them early tomorrow. Grab a snow shovel and some ice melt and maybe some clothing. Rocky boots made in Nelsonville, Ohio. Caden Hudgens is in the game for his first action for Dan River. There's a nice little running hook shot from Andrew Stone.
Yeah, I don't know if Caden Hudgens was made in Ringo, Virginia, but it is the first appearance we've seen of him tonight. Steal by Altavista.
Lee, uncontested lay-in. Stone was there just in case anything went wrong for Jontez Lee, but he scores it. 14 now for Jontez Lee. Altavista trails 76-53. Dan River basketball quickly. Line drive shot right side outside the lane. No good. Wildcats had a brief crack and an offensive rebound, but that was stolen away. Here's Andrew Stone sprinting across the timeline, runs through the center circle, passing right wing to Garvin, who nails it from the right wing three-point line.
Ben Elliott's face looks like what? Like, how are we letting this happen?
Altavista's down 20. 76-56.
It's going to be hard to win the game. I mean, let's just be honest. But I think as a coach, you're about winning quarters too.
Yeah.
And at this point, when the margin was so large at the end of three, if you can win a quarter, that's progress in my opinion.
Sure. Colonels trailed by 27 to start this fourth period. Down 20 right now. Look at Garvin getting through the defense with a shimmy shake and then just lacerated them at the end. Now Altavista's down 18. 76-58. Pretty strong run right here. Pretty strong run by the Altavista Colonels, and they're going to get the basketball back. And you're right. When you study Ben Elliott's body language, he doesn't seem super impressed with his team right now, the Dan River Wildcats.
Well, and Dan River is helping Altavista get back into this, too. I mean, don't get me wrong, Altavista's playing well, but Dan River, you just can't give the basketball back to Altavista and think nothing's going to happen.
Garvin catches right wing, and he will get right to the front of the iron for two more. Garvin's really exploding. Colonels are down 16 all of a sudden.
Ben Elliott has almost been like a statue in the park to where he has not really moved that much. His face has changed a few times.
It's an 18-2 run right now for Altavista. I'll double-check that math in a second and wait for more scoring. Lee missed on a running lay-in left side. A scrambled egg situation as bodies hit the floor on the rebound attempt. Boy, Andrew Stone needing a couple guys to help him off the hardwood. Gave a thumbs up. I think he's just gassed. I don't think he's really injured. I think back to what you said earlier in this game multiple times, guys are just playing so hard right now.
Dan Rivers checking in 4 fresh faces. Just a quick question. Have you ever hit the hardwood? Doesn't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel great.
I can throw you down on it afterwards if you want.
That'd be fun. And I checked the math. It is a 13-2 run right now for Altavista. I was wrong.
Jameer Edmonds, Matthew Watson, Trayvon Thomas, Tavion Fitz, and I think the man with the ball, it's Trevor Thomas. Those are the 5 in for Dan River.
Yeah, 13-2 run for Altavista. Still impressive. And the Colonels' defense is getting better and better, and they're going to have another possession as Altavista able to harass Dan River enough into a Wildcat turnover.
When mom or dad cross their arms, that's normally not a good thing for the other person.
Stone got his three-pointer partially blocked. And there's a foul on Jontez Lees. He just got into the wrist of Trevor Thomas, a 5'11 junior who is in the game for Dan River. Stops the clock with 4:47 left in the English is your complete home center fourth quarter. 76-60. Dan River still by a comfortable 16, I think. But
I was just going to say, did anything good ever happen for you when mom or dad had their arms crossed?
Got to think back to earlier today. Matthew Watson bullying players out of the way, but missed from straight away, point-blank range. And then Dan River lost the basketball again. I've been calling it the bunny some like you used to there when you missed the close one.
Yeah.
I think you would never say a bunny when he made one, though. It's always when he missed it, right?
Yeah, well, and we talked about it coming down here. I mean, everything's 7 feet and in. You got to say that's gimme.
Yeah. Yeah, the old gimme, it would be the golf term when you're so close your opponent just gives it to you.
This is hole in one, not hole in one or two.
Right. Well, that's still be very good if you made it in two. Yeah. 4:10 left to play in the fourth. Fisher looking around, needs somewhere to go. Short pass to Sean Clay, who came to get the basketball from him. So nearly midway through the final stage, and Altavista's down 16. Garvin trying to change it, but he bricked the left wing three-pointer. Wildcats out and running again with speed. Oh, Garvin blocked a shot off the backboard. Watson had the rebound for Dan River. Oh, it's Altavista basketball. Watson couldn't corral it. So the Colonels down 16. They were down 26. I'm going to begin period number 4.
Contradict myself. Dan Rivers lost some aggressiveness, which I don't think helps.
I think you're right. They've lost a little bit of the edge. Colonel's going to run a set play against this 2-3 zone. Garvin was open. He cashes in from the right side. Nice job by Altavista on the design of the play, and then really a perfect rifle pass down there to Garvin from Spence Fisher. Colonels are within 14, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes a three from Trevor Thomas. No good. High rebound went over the backboard. That's a violation. Goes to the non-shooting team, which in this case is the Altavista Colonels. Wow. I mean, Ben Elliott's got to be thinking about a timeout if Altavista scores here, correct?
I don't think Ben Elliott's happy.
He wants to let his team figure it out, though. I give him a little bit of credit there. Trying to let the Wildcats sort of self-organize and restore some order to the game themselves. But right now, you have to say Altavista getting the better of things. There's a jump ball, and the possession arrow will favor the Colonels. Yeah, Ben Elliott's just kind of stalking that sideline with the arms crossed, like you mentioned. If it kind of resting the chin on one hand there.
If it gets to single digits, then you've reached the point of, I think, unacceptable.
I think you're right. 3:11 left to play in the game. Ooh, turnover there as Slayton really just kind of threw it right to Jameer Edmonds. Edmonds up and scoring, and he got fouled. That will restore some order to the proceedings for the Dan River Wildcats. Give Edmonds 2 more. That's 5 in the game for him. And a chance at the three-point play here with 3:05 left in period 4.
Andrew Stone checks back in.
Colonels
kind of reminds me of the gritty-gutty Mike Weir.
Oh, yeah.
Giving you a golf analogy.
Yeah, Canadian left-hander. Yep.
I don't think Andrew Stone's Canadian, but
no, and he's not left-handed either. So. At least he doesn't shoot left-handed anyway. Edmonds does convert the three-point play. But are you talking about facial features and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm just talking about grit.
Okay, yeah.
Grit.
Yeah. I don't know if basketball players consider that a compliment to get compared to golfers on the grit category. Here's Garvin. Came through the lane left to right. Had his shot blocked over there at the right edge of the backboard by Watson. Wildcats have thrown it away. A little too quick on the other side. Dan River does lead. 79-62.
Matthew Watson kind of had like the two-handed block there. Kind of more like a volleyball stuff.
Yeah, and that's fun when you can do that. You control the possession. A lot of times you block it out of bounds or the other team gets it back. Here's Fisher. Overhead pass to the corner. Coach Casey Johnson calls time. We'll step aside for 30. It's Dan River, 79. The visiting Altavista Colonels, 62 with 2.5 left to play in the fourth on 105.5 KD Country.
Whether you reside in the rural countryside or right in suburbia, Haley's Outdoors has got you covered for all your mowing needs. Haley's Outdoors is your dealer in Spartan mowers, Husqvarna, Grasshopper, Envy mowers, neighborhood vehicles, Traeger grills, and so much more. Haley's Outdoors is Central Virginia's largest power center for sales and service. Locally owned and operated Haley's Outdoors on Hicks Road in Lynchburg, just off of 460. Online at haleys.com.
Your high school sports station with award-winning coverage on 105.5 KD Country.
It's fourth quarter play between Altavista and Dan River. Right now, the home team Wildcats defending the basket to our right with a 79-62 lead. My name is Kyle. My partner Bob Alvis. I love the spirit and the fight here from the Altavista Colonels. You and I have debated how much is Dan River taking the foot off the accelerator. I mean, actually, the foot's still on the accelerator. They just kind of let go of the steering wheel at times, didn't they?
Speaking of feet, if I have my Carhartt gear on, which I can get from English's in the fourth quarter, I can find some of the Dan River guys buy their shoes because they are bright pink and green fluorescent on some guys.
Yeah. Jontez Lee, straightaway triple, was short. Rebounded just outside the lane, left side by Spence Fisher. He'll offload to Clay, who missed a shot. Fisher got another offensive rebound, and he got whacked on the attack, and Spence Fisher's going to have 2 free throws here. Great hard work by Spence Fisher. A couple offensive rebounds on the sequence. Let's see if he can make it pay off from the line right with his team down 79-62.
That's 5 on Watson.
Wow. That kind of snuck up on us a little bit.
Well, that technical and personal adds 2.
Yeah.
So you go from 2 to 4. Snap, snap.
Great point, and that's why it takes 2 to do these broadcasts effectively. Matthew Watson did commit a foul in the third quarter and then out of frustration slapped the back padding along the wall here inside the gymnasium at Dan River. And we didn't think it was directed at the official, but the referee teed him up anyway. Jameer Reynolds is back in the ball game.
I don't know if that's consolation.
No, at this point it's not, as he just fouls out.
No, I mean Reynolds coming in. It's not, it's not like a consolation. We went downhill.
Right. Fisher missed the first, made the second. Yeah, Jameer Reynolds is in with his. Looks like Reynolds has 23 tonight. Had 42 last week against Altavista. Reynolds is going to go hunting for 2 more right here. Got fouled by Clay on the way up, made it anyway. Very impressive. I mean, you could see he wanted a basket. I think Clay knew it and probably thought he fouled him enough to prevent the goal. But he did not. 2 more for Reynolds. 25 on the night with a chance for 26.
Dad Alvis always said, if you're going to foul somebody, foul them hard enough to where they don't make the basket. I think he did foul Reynolds hard enough. But Reynolds, I don't know if he's got superhuman strength or what, but he still gets that ball up there, gets 2 in, and the 3-point play converts.
And he's really impressive about playing through contact. It does help to be 6'6", because a lot of times you're getting hit on the body and the elbows instead of the arms and the wrist. I mean, I know the elbow is part of the arm. Garvin got into Reynolds there. Now we're going to have a little scrum on the baseline. Nothing too crazy, no pushing and shoving, just the 2 guys that came together. Garvin did foul Reynolds fairly hard and was called for a flagrant foul. Coach Casey Johnson out there to make sure his guy doesn't do anything else. After the foul, Reynolds kind of came storming towards Christian Garvin. Again, no pushing and shoving, no punches, anything like that. Just a little bit of a dust-up. Now Reynolds will be on the line to shoot 2. It will be Dan River basketball after the free throws. Crowd applauding. And I think the other 8 players, Bob, did really nicely there to try to keep the guys separated and make sure cooler heads prevailed. And that's what good teammates can do. Reynolds missing the first free throw. Second one coming up for Reynolds, all alone on that free throw line. Those could be the toughest to make sometimes. It's an 82-63, 19-point Dan River lead.
Yeah, more guys want to have, be involved in the scrum rather than stop a scrum.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Cage. Good. Kudos.
Free throw good. Reynolds gets it back to a 20-point advantage for Dan River. They were up by 27 coming into this quarter. Colonels whittled that down to just a 14-point Wildcat lead. Now the home team back on top by 20. Lob pass tipped back to Reynolds. Probably got exactly what he wanted. Then he got fouled by Spence Fisher. Reynolds is going to walk back to the free throw line because Altavista is over the limit with 5 fouls. Dan River is in the bonus.
I think on that one, Fisher was just trying to, box him out with the body, so to speak. And that got Reynolds back to the free throw line. Altavista has gotten up to the 5 team fouls, like you mentioned. So Dan River's shooting from here on out.
The free throws 7 and 8 for Reynolds this game, and that's a far cry from shooting 18 last week against Altavista. He was 15 of 18 from the stripe, and that was a big reason why Dan River got that win last week. Reynolds bricked that one. He's upset with himself. He'll take some time to walk back away from the line.
I know it's something you don't keep track of, but I would think Reynolds probably played less minutes tonight than he did last week, too.
I would strongly agree with that. Yeah, I think, and Keith Piper might be able to back me up on this, I'm not sure Reynolds came off last week. I know we pointed that out. Here's Stone, NBA range triple, was online but too far. And now Christian Garvin with a rebound, trying to work around defenders. Got walled off in between the lane and the left wing three-point line. Now it's Jontez Lee at the head of the key, trying to get downhill and drive. Pitches to the low block for Christian Garvin, who had it knocked out of his hands. Altavista will reset with 1:23 left to play in the fourth. It's going to be a loss for Altavista. They're going to go to exactly 500 on the season, Bob, and we can talk more about this in the postgame show. Colonels have to find a way to keep the confidence up in what will be a 3-game losing streak. Fisher couldn't bank home the mid-range shot from the left side. Reynolds wants 2 more. He will throw in another right-handed dunk. He let Fisher kind of know about that one as he went by. Sometimes that's a no-no. Got the crowd on their feet again. Second big jam of the evening for Jameer Reynolds. Garvin, toes on the line, 2, no good from the left corner. Reynolds once more, got the rebound. He's going to go for the one-man fast break, but his gallop was stalled into a trot by some Altavista defense. Three-pointer up and good from number 30, Trevor Thomas. He has scored his first basket of the evening. Wildcats pouring it on again, leading 89-63. This will be a new season high for Dan River.
Well, you talk about a 3-game losing streak. Well, Dan River and Gretna are really good, and they should be playing basketball for a really long time in the postseason. So
Nelson, too.
Yeah, Nelson, too. So I don't think you can, pish-posh who you've lost to.
Yeah.
I know it's not a consolation prize or anything, but...
Well, you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you mentioned Gretna because they are really good. I just want to make sure we didn't forget about the Nelson County Governors. I've got a special soft spot in my heart for Appomattox this year. These Class 2 teams in the Dogwood are really, really good this season. Chatham Cavaliers are in that Class 2. They've been having to go through all these squads, but the Cavs are playing pretty good basketball. Slayton sinks the back end there on the free throw line, 89-65. Dan River doesn't need any more, but I have a feeling they probably want to get over 90. Hudgens will lose the basketball. Fisher saving it in. Did nicely there. Kind of threw it through the net back to Andrew Stone. Dan River steals the rock. Up ahead, Trevor Thomas. He had room on the right side and converted the lay. 5 for Thomas, under 30 seconds to play. Dan River did get to 90, 91 in fact. 91-65 is the score. Slayton passes out of a triple team. Left wing 3 for Andrew Stone. Direct hit, nothing but nylon there to rinse it through. 10 on the timer now, 91-68. Wildcats, let's see if they shoot at the buzzer or not. Hudgens for 3. Oh, it was in and out. Crowd wanted that too. He seems to be a fan favorite. Wouldn't roll, and the game is done. 91-68. Dan River will go to 14-5 on the season after a resounding Wildcat victory. Colonels are 10-10. Bob and I are back in just a moment to talk about it on 105.5 KD Country.
The De Heavenly Home of Altavista would like to show their support and wish the Altavista Colonels a great season. Licensed by the Department of Behavioral Health, the De Heavenly Home assists clients with intellectual and developmental disabilities and currently accepts waivers or private pay. For more information, contact Zakaya Pinnell at 434-251-3466 or email them at thedeheavenlyhome@gmail.com. Let's go, Colonels!
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Shop Napa Auto Parts in Altavista, Bedford, and Gretna.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Virginia, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Virginia High School League and the Virginia Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Brought to you by English Construction Company with offices in Lynchburg.
Hey everybody, it's Kyle Hoehne talking about my great friends at Lynchburg Garage Door. I just love this company. Locally owned and operated. All these guys and gals grew up in Central Virginia. They love serving this community, providing high quality service for your garage door and more. High integrity with this company as well. Okay, they're going to get it done right at a fair price. Lynchburg Garage Door. You want to learn more? Check out their website. It's garagedooroflynchburg.com. Garagedooroflynchburg.com. You can call them at 434-546-0308 or just use your search engine and look up Lynchburg Garage Door. See what they can do for you. See why I love this company so much. Lynchburg Garage Door.
Your home for Colonel sports coverage. 105.5 KD Country.
Post-game show from Ringgold. The home team, Dan River Wildcats, get victory number 14 of the season. They beat Altavista 91-68. Colonels go to 10-8. It's now a 3-game losing streak for Altavista. And I think the Colonels have now lost 4 out of their last 5, Bob. The victory over the Rustburg Red Devils in there was a great one. I certainly don't think the Colonels are going to take a lot of confidence away from tonight. But if you're Altavista, you just have to find a way to not let this do too much emotional and psychological damage, I think. That Dan River squad is really, really talented.
End of the day, I think they're going to be okay. Because you're gonna play teams. I mean, Dan River's readying you for 1A playoffs. Gradna's readying you. Nelson County's readying you. So on and so forth. I mean, how many times have they gone? They meaning Altavista gone on to weekend games or playing up in the Seminoles with the Liberties, the Brookvilles, the Amherst, the Rustburgs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you nailed it, as usual. And we'll talk more about this Dan River team and what we think their playoff hopes are. If you've listened to us at all tonight, I think you'll know that Bob and I agree that this Wildcat squad could be destined for some really big things in the postseason, but they will have to play some very good competition. Dan River now 6-3 in the Dogwood District. Altavista 3-7 in the district. That does matter for sure, but those points for your region standings are the thing that matters a lot. So if Altavista gets to play Liberty, that'll be big. Liberty is a Class 2 team. That game is scheduled for Wednesday. By the way, fans, I think I can speak for all of us saying that we don't think the game will be played Wednesday based on the forecast, but you never know.
And then now you're really getting into the part of the season for everybody where you're just running out of dates to make up stuff because, you can't play Sunday. That's out.
Yeah.
Saturdays may become unnecessary. I mean, I know a lot of people
don't like it.
And you only have
one of those left, actually.
So, I mean, you're getting into the boat to where you're running out of time, KH.
Let me read you some more dates while we're talking about it here. Altavista, the final regular season home game is scheduled for a week from tomorrow. That's against Chatham on the road. Colonels are supposed to play Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. So you would have that one Saturday. You'd have Thursday, which Altavista doesn't have a game, and then also Monday of next week, Altavista doesn't have a game. But you don't know what your opponents have on those dates. So, and then the playoffs set to start a week from Friday. That's February 21st. Go ahead.
Keep in mind one thing, too. You talk about Altavista. To play like Nelson, I mean, the weather in Altavista and the weather in Nelson can be two totally different things.
So true.
So that's where you're getting into the situations to where, it may look good on your end, but it may not look good on other ends. And keep in mind, too, you and I have gone to school in the area and everything. The back roads count a lot, and sometimes just because sometimes the school's closed, a certain county may not let you out.
Yeah.
So, you're running into a lot of issues right there.
Sometimes I wonder how we graduated, but we did.
I wonder that every day of my life.
Got out of there with a diploma somehow. Hey, we'll use that public school knowledge to try to total up these points, and we'll get you that here in just a second. 91-68. Dan River wins it at home, win number 14 of the season for the Wildcats. And you heard it all live on 105.5 KD Country.
PCM Industrial Services of Altavista is a heavy industrial contractor specializing in welding and mechanical repair services. PCM is a Class A contractor, both OSHA and MSHA certified. PCM Industrial embraces teamwork and dedication to a common goal. PCM Industrial wishes all of the Colonel athletes and coaches a great, successful season. Go Colonels!
Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service. A family serving family since 1905.
Hello, I'm Trey Finch, the 5th generation of Finch family to serve this community. We are proud to be the only Virginia funeral home to win the Pursuit of Excellence Award from the National Funeral Directors Association. We offer many products and services in addition to the ones that are expected, such as pet cremation and burial, custom printing. We also capture your loved one's DNA and fingerprints and have many options to go along with that. And of course, our most popular employee, Oliver, the Golden Doodle therapy dog, which is available to all families at their time of need. Please reach out to us if you'd like to learn more about us and what we have to offer.
Tonight's game is brought to you by these sports club sponsors.
Highview Motors GMC. From small to tall, Highview Motors has it all. Highview Motors, Main Street, Altavista.
El Cerrito. Throw on a sombrero, shake your maracas. It's El Cerrito time. Authentic Mexican cuisine only El Cerrito can serve up.
One Stop Mart, Main Street, Altavista, where the gas is cheap, beverages are cold, and the chicken is kicking.
Dairy Freeze. Hamburgers, hot dogs, and of course ice cream. They're doing it right at the Freeze on Main Street in Altavista.
Select Air Mechanical and Electrical. Our team is certified and licensed to handle all of your heating and air, plumbing, electrical, design, and build needs.
Chef's Drive-In, keeping drive-ins alive with hometown pride and service. Chef's Drive-In, Main Street, Altavista. Thank you to all of our sports club sponsors, and thanks for listening to 105.5 KD Country.
Your station for high school sports play-by-play is 105.5 KD Country.
Bob and Kyle trying to wrap things up here from Dan River High School. Always a great trip down to Ringgold. Hello one more time to Jerry Eccles. And, Bob, you were talking about Coach Johnson's mom, Sherry, who is a faithful listener when she can't see the games in person. You talk about somebody that's right at home in a gym, though.
Baker extraordinaire.
Oh, yeah.
As well, I believe. But yeah. I'm wondering if it was her or her late husband, Mr. Johnson, that taught Casey chess, because Casey plays that chess game when he's coaching.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can actually get together and, break out the board or if he wants to play checkers, but
I think we could.
His competitiveness, man, I'm ranking that right up at the top. I might have the board on top of me.
We'd have a hard time getting victories, for sure. Hello to our guy Sam Guthrie, Jerry Rice, Dean Hubbard, Ty Gafford, the Haskins family, the Tweedy family, Anthony Clay, Gerard Barksdale, Josh Eads. Well, some of that crew's got to be tuned in. My guy, Robbie Dawson, Bud Moses, who's a big fan of yours, Bob. Glenn and Linda Miller, who I think you remember from years gone by. Ann Eads, Danny Barber, Vernon Sauser, Jalen Jones, CJ, Skyler, Addison Mormon, Devin Shelton, Deja Berger. The list goes on.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. My guy, Dean Hubbard, recent Hall of Famer.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple Saturdays ago. What a fun time that was, Bob. Lewis Bryant, some other very deserving. Cliff Lee, who you know very well. Fun time there. And, the speeches, man. The speeches were moving, and they were motivational. They make me want to do something with my life.
I hope it's drive out of here. But before that.
That's the start.
Before that, I would love to hear the point totals.
Let's get some unofficial point totals on that note, Bob. I know you were interested. Dan River, 9 players score, 4 in double figures. Pretty impressive. Matthew Watson with 6. Demarion Robertson had 2. Trevor Thomas, 5. Jamarion Davis with 10. Tavion Fitz, 11. Davion Atkins, 13. 6 apiece for Josiah Lampkin and Jameer Edmonds. And then 26 points for the leading scorer, Jameer Reynolds. Had 42 against Altavista last week. I guess you could say he'll settle for 26. A couple big-time jackhammer jams in there as well. Dan River 14-5 now. I think they've got 3 left on the schedule. We'll see if they can get them all in here between the snowstorm and the quickly approaching end of the season. Altavista, meanwhile, 10-10. They had 7 players score, 3 in double figures for the Colonels, including the leading scorer for Altavista, Christian Garvin, 16 points. Andrew Stone, 11 points, 3 triples, 1 conventional field goal in there. Sean Clay finishes with 7. Spence Fisher, 1. Jamari Slayton, 6 points. Malachi Ford, 2. And John Tesley, 14. The Frosh had 10 in the first half. Continues to impress. Altavista, as I said, 10-10. And scheduled to play Wednesday. Whenever they play, we'll have the Lynchburg Garage Door pregame show about 20 or 30 minutes before the tip. And, it could be Wednesday. Probably not, but it could be. Better chance maybe Thursday, Saturday possible, Monday possible. Altavista also, Bob, set to have the final home game of the season, regular season, on Friday, hosting Nelson. So a lot of info there, and we'll keep you up to date by listening to KD Country. What else you got?
Well, I was just going to say the other thing, too, is you've got to take into consideration is let's hypothetically say things go south and you can't get a game in this week. Well, then Liberty is going to have to make up a Friday game somewhere else. So you could just be losing. I think that's the problem. You could be losing games just because you're running out of time.
Yeah, and I think, again, this is speculation, but what we've learned from years past, if it becomes a crunch to get the games in, that non-district game against Liberty's probably out. There is kind of an emphasis to play the district schedule, which would be Nelson and Chatham. But we'll see. A lot of unknowns. We do hope you stay safe out there in the weather. If you got to go out, budget a bunch of extra time for your travel. This one looks nasty, Bob. You're still working from home. I don't know. I mean, I know you'd love to have a snow day and not go in, but at least you don't have to ride around out there.
Good point. Good point.
I try. You made a lot of good ones tonight.
I don't drive snowmobiles or plows either.
No, we never.
Those guys
we never.
Speed dial.
We never got to our discussion about the long rebounding the 3-point shot. So that's a reason for you to come back this year.
We'll do it on the way home.
Let's do it on the way home. But the fans won't hear.
I'll turn on the recorder. We'll podcast.
Hey, there you go. Plug the podcast for a second, Bob. You're bringing that back. Not that it ever went away, but
the Sports Buffet. Kyle Hoehne is so kind to retweet a lot of my things. So I've had Kyle on multiple times, and like I said, believe it or not, the recorder's going to go on the way back. Kyle doesn't know it yet, but we're not going to talk any off the records, but just an inside look of what you might hear if you were ever in the back seat. Fly on the wall.
Fly on the wall, inside the method to the madness. Or is it the madness to the method? I'm not sure.
I don't know, but I hope I can do this again with you someday. I mean, I love Keith Piper, and y'all make a great combo.
We have fun.
Just in case, Keith has got the baseball season's coming up.
Coming up.
I could be called on.
And I don't know, but you and Evan got rave reviews. You guys seem like you've been working together for years. When I listened to it, I tuned in there for the second half.
Evan was great. I just managed not to foul things up.
No, you were fantastic as always. You guys had the rhythm down pretty quickly. Although, admittedly, I didn't hear the first half, but. What I did hear sounded great. Right, exactly. You can tell we're having fun, but we got to say good night eventually, although the gym's still fairly full. You and I are used to they're turning out the lights on us here when we're finishing up these post games, but still a pretty crowded gym. Nonetheless, though, we'll say good night, but we do have to say a few thank yous. First to our sound engineer, ground control, Eleanor. Fantastic as always back at home base. And thank you to our starting lineup, folks like Lynchburg Garage Door, English is Your Complete Home Center, Fellers Chevrolet, Finch and Finch Funeral and Cremation Service, PCM Industrial Services, Napa Auto Parts, and Altavista, Bedford and Gretna, The Heavenly Home, English Construction, and Haley's Appliance and Haley's Outdoor. Got to end it somewhere. It's been a lot of fun. Altavista does not get the result that they want, but more chances to come, and I think it's a team that could be very dangerous in the postseason. Say the same thing about the Dan River Wildcats, who go to 14-5 after the 91-68 victory over Altavista. Colonels now 10-10. We'll update you on the schedule. We'll see what happens with the Storm, but we'll be playing basketball soon, and you'll be able to hear it live on 105.5 KD Country.